छुलेली जाते पट्टिका पालू जातो.
Esa? Umukuni kulum ginin sanhazan. Umukuni kulum ginin sanagum. Mangganyai antini tau-tau-tau. Oma iskayun moda italontam. Sainan mami taloham. Sainan mami hunan ham. Iskayun moda igalay din. Itutuhon niyang ilinalotan. O asaynam, o antin, ninumari hamines munzan, minahaulik. O asaynam, o antin, ninumari hamines munzan, minahaulik. Sainan mamim, nayang sinyal, paren waduk itanotam. Sainan mamim, hat miham zanapid mi ilatin mamim. Susyenim ipaan mamim, Winigitanum, 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 Hosanna.
Si Jesus Masi, Sainan Francis, dan Sainan Jonas, no ineftalmizu para inatitude, mentiza lumilui sinanan i bendición. May lapago, manilubuzan maninahuza taseri, dos na luta, si Senyor Sainan Romulor, si Sainan Sauris, dos na kantot wini, za u dirihit ni Zotan anthems. Por favor, panorin.
Director Simani. Isi sende na pizza.
Oh, sing, can you sing it by the Lord's early light? What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Italogaron tase nagagitano Adonai Shem Ryusoga Malago Mia Bayuhana Pagfotu Atado Isinyao Udino Otano Impreses and was who saludao Agonaistas Marianas Mosaic. Impreses and was who saludao Agonaistas Marianas Mosaic. Sa matawag Pasifiko ay lo falaweng ilagay vuelo Marianas Sangras Prabuwa Tiro Meru Likatil Tenfayu Marianas
Sumen Suena dan nak maguf I pagwa tahuhuk sihan na sunido ni man ma kantaw zihit para ta tuna I tanota mismo. Si Jesus masik Senyor Pat Romolor dan si Alfred Saurus no Saurus. Manyelu dan manyenahu ginin I atkus gimas sangkatan na Islanggani mauk ginin I kasi ganay tsogtso jan lokui ganay sen Pasifiko natasin isangkatan siha na islokta hupus lutsan I fanlihing I paharus siha janista papa giza imatingan gimas sanlitan na islokta guahan no gisanlitan gi inalahan faha no ipuntan faha zantori tanuit mundo na manggay gi manye duta hamaguunta iman iriderun iman Chamorro zan lokui iman repahuluas aramasah kalloy he wal story tanuit mundo everywhere around the world con respeto con tinina con minago zan inazuus half a day Kirawami amaga umogaan inin I getpagu na tanota sa ipan luta tinian guahan zan lokui sangkatan siha na Islanggani. Sumen na maguf iman alieta pagu na ugaan gipagu na haoni yotimun ini na mes Marzo 2022. Half a day Kirawami guahu yatungo midzu ibisinun midzu inaaluf gitalan wanabiyay iparientis midzu hunggan ilikido na lahin midzu si John Oliver Pangilinan de los Reyes Palacios Sablan Manibusan Gonzales Polis sa hafa na manggaygi hamzu ini na init nun meta siloy heiren hafa lojiji setsu midzu wininu ilata inu Chamorro meta umahutul milaka si Ferry Merelyash kapas meyash ko. Haji Chamorro. Hafa muna Chamorrohit. Iyo repahuluas. E faisil tawawul bwe hish repahuluas. Manyilusan manyay nahu ko para tapaga. Ta zohu. Ta atitude. Ta tulus mona. Ta poksay mona. Ta iluzi, ta na sen lojiji, sino que igualazi. Kota sedi na umafnas iilata. Patafan aepok unusan otro za tafan apipit sigidu mona, sino tigualazi tafan lutgun za mga natadisquido hit no imanatati. Enagwi hinasokko para taparenteya mona, apa namandadanya mo. Winning. Without no further ado, manyelusan manyenahu, malapagod sa tasedi, isok ta Executive Director, Chamorro Carolinian Language Policy Commission, luta ilahin Marianas Mosaic, si Melvin Odoshi Faisal Sablan, para una ihitidik nito pod i-programan. No, lenguajita, is Sablan too. Yes, primo.
Thank you, Senyor, Sujus Marsi, Afade, and Tiro. My name is Melvin Faisal, and I was hired on board in August of 2018. This Chamorro Carolinian Language Policy Commission, also known as CCLPC, per Public Law 15-96, is responsible for representing the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands in meetings and conferences on matters dealing with the Chamorro and Carolinian language and making recommendations to the Board of Education on standard orthography in the public school system. This agency is responsible for formulating and enforcing policies for government and private sectors regarding Chamorro and Carolinian translation and making recommendations to the legislature on procedures governing the usage of Chamorro and Carolinian language in the government sector. In addition, this agency supports local initiatives to carry out policies supporting the Chamorro and Carolinian languages and culture. Currently, The Commission board members are comprised of educators from the public school system, and I humbly ask that respective principals where each Commission board member teaches will consider allowing the board members to attend scheduled board meetings in the future. Furthermore, I would like to thank His Honorable Governor Torres for financing from ARPA $55,589, mainly utilized for the 80-20 personnel wage grade increase as spelled out in the civil service classification. I would also like to thank the 22nd Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature for the funding under Public Law 2208, which $103,689 was for personnel, $12,313 for operation. In November of last year, this agency recently got awarded $19,834 solely for this event from the National Endowment Humanities under the promotion of the Humanities Federal States Partnership Grant. Thank you to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. So I continue on to say that English is the most spoken language globally, the third after Mandarin Chinese and Spanish. But English is the most commonly spoken second language in the world. English is manifestly spoken in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Island and is part of our official language. English is the most common language used on the internet. As accessibility to the digital world expands, so will the spread of English as a second language. This will impact all languages, but those languages already endangered will be the most severely affected as our young people become fluent in the language of the internet and not the mother tongue or indigenous languages. The impact will be compounded through our future generations. According to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO Atlas of the World Language in Danger, many indigenous languages are endangered globally. The rate of loss is estimated at 1 every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, a language dies with its last speaker. 50 to 90% of them are predicted to disappear by the next century. Furthermore, UNESCO established that between 1950 to 2010, 230 languages went extinct. Today, a third of the world languages have fewer than 1,000 speakers left. Based on what I have stated, the division shows that it's not entirely due to the encroachment of the digital world. The root of decline lies within majority of our Cnmi population who speak English as first or second language due to the strict, often oppressive language policies implemented by the United States after the World War II and to the present. This practice led to the indigenous language of our country or island becoming diminished in their use throughout our great Cnmi or Commonwealth. The fact that the majority of the media in our country or island are presented in English is compounded by demographics and the internet. But lately, with the recent adoption of our Cnmi orthography, we have seen rise in fluency via children literature in our public school system and within the Diocese of Chalacanoa, Mislets and North Stars, in which community members have the opportunity to read the Sunday Gospels and reading. With great honor, I recognize the late Bishop Tomase Kamatsu, the late Dr. Rita H. Enos, the late Maximo L. Olapay, the late David Rogolofoy Omar, Mrs. Carmen Tamaño, and Mrs. Carmen Otanaka for the contribution to that endeavor. I would be remiss if I did not recognize the following individuals. Dr. Sandra Chung for her work on the Chamorro grammar. Dr. Ken Reck and Mr. Jim Ellis, both from University of Hawaii, who continue to have dialogue with this agency. His Reverend Father Sid T. Ogomoro and Mrs. Margaret Olapay Taitano, Mr. Jesus Salamito, the late Agustin Mareham Tagabuel, and the late Rosa Warakay for the contribution to the St. John New Testament Bible translation into Carolinian, which the office has in its possession for review for consistency to the standard on the Carolinian orthography. As to Mr. Paulus Kiev and Mr. Cameron Fruit, Dr. Elizabeth Rehebe, and Chairperson Tita Hokok, and the CCOPC board members and Secretary Joseph P. De Leon Guerrero, as well as the facilitators of today's conference. In closing, I give credit to the unknown author who stated, "Language is intrinsic to the expression of culture as a means of communicating values, beliefs, and custom. It has an important social function and fosters feeling of group identity and solidarity. It is how culture and its tradition with its value may be conveyed and preserved." Sidusmasi, Olomai Megaliso, and thank you all for your patience in allowing me an opportunity to present a summarized report from this agency. Thank you.
Si Jos Masi, malata na pagpaki sa Executive Director no i na konseho na hanaihit para ta no hasasay kun muna gili na lokta. Zan lokui i manmagos niya siha gi Chamorro Carolinian Language Policy Commission. No sumen namaguf na talili ito di mandadanya gwini, it is with distinct pleasure and honor to really be amongst people of our times with respect to our language and our culture. We can see all of everybody participating virtually and those who are around the table here at the Policy Commission's office in Capitol Hill, Saipan. So without no further ado, we begin with our first panel discussion. Our lecturers to listen intently on the following objective: increase collaboration and dialogue by sharing and understanding each agency's, entities, organizations, success stories, and key components or programs that will positively impact sustaining and protecting, preserving our mother language. We remind ourselves that the theme for this first of 10 years over the next decade, celebrating our mother tongue, the theme is protecting our mother language. Let's begin with the nearest to us, Dr. Sandra Chung, who's truly been a true pioneer. I know she's there physically, but her heart, y corazón niya, is kay Giwining Itanota, Marianas. Hafade, amagamogan Dr. Chung.
Hafade, buenas hafade. San Magufso sa masana Giwining na inatnan. San agradeci si Mr. Faisal sa akong didadju. So dispenses sa I have to switch to English now. Sa mampus dispacio if you know Chamorro. Since I'm not an organization, I don't know that I have. Let me just contribute my thoughts as a linguist to the project of nurturing and sustaining the mother tongue. I think the best way to protect, nurture, and sustain a language is to speak it, to actively speak it. it's a little bit like health, you know, I mean, it's a little bit like exercise, fitness, body strength, you know, how they say about your strength, use your muscles or use it or lose it, right? Language is the same. If you don't want to lose it, you should use it. And now, at this point, one needs to ask, well, how much do I have to use it? And I think the answer is, again, like exercise, not very much. Maybe not very much. Just a little bit of regular use of language could keep it alive. You know, if you use it in a family setting, maybe every day, maybe at the same time every day, maybe at the same time, the same kind of activity, like around the dinner table, or when cleaning up after dinner, or when preparing dinner. Just speak a little of the mother tongue. Don't just limit yourself to fixed expressions. Use the language broadly and encourage everyone to participate. Maybe that's enough. You know, it's so much better than not using the language at all. Just like 10 minutes of exercise can change your life. You know, it can make you a much healthier person. So I have that to say. I hope everyone knows that the Chamorro grammar that was completed in 2020 is freely available to everyone online. One might ask, well, grammar is a document of a language. It documents the language. Can it help to protect it? Maybe. Again, it depends on whether or not people use it. Now, here the problem is grammar is kind of a complex object. It's kind of a big book. The trick is to learn how to use it, because part of speaking a language is the ability to put words together. The grammar can help to show people who are students, who are learners, how to do that. Just like it talks about sound structure, it talks about spelling, it talks about the structure of words. It talks about how to ask questions, how to make requests, how to give orders, how to express surprise, right? All sorts of things, but there's a lot of detail. Well, how do you deal with that detail? Just like in the newspaper, don't read the stuff you're not interested in. Focus on what is interesting. Use the search function on your PDF reader, right? Or use the index or the table of contents. Just zero in on what you're interested in. Interestingly, some of the sentences in the first few chapters of the grammar have been recorded, and they're available online at the site learningchamorro.com. It's a site from Guam, and so maybe that will be useful in the classroom. That's about all I have to say. I think it's just very impressive that this effort is being made to keep the language alive, to promote it before it becomes further endangered. So I applaud everyone at this meeting for their efforts in that direction. Thank you so much.
Dr. Chung, si Zeus Maasi, un na fan manhasui tati na ti logizi para megachi chokta zoki para ta Filipino Americano no Inglaterra, go back to basics. In senagradesi na consejo I tana sepi, no? Parewa na dyan I lauza ki kusina. Ko para ta pega halum ki stamti data adora. Estai manuin mamboka, estai manuin manalado. Tai manu para tas panlokla. Si Zeus Masi neno na consejo data na fan manhasui manyay na gigima. Remind omnipresently our parents at the home. It really is from mom and dad at home. It begins at home and it ends at home. No, there's not much to add to that. So thank you for that. No timeless reminder. No, Ymlg. Next on the panel, let's go to our neighbor Bisinuta Gisan Papa na Islan Tano no Marianas Afaza igani Gisan Hilo Isang Papa kanalikuno afaza I palaksi Lagwa, Islam Lagwa, Tanu Lagwa isang papa. Si Lola Victoria de Leon Guerrero. Afade.
Hafidez and Sizos Maasi Todo Hamzu. I wondered if I could share screen. Is that okay? Oh yes, Maale. Okay, so Hafidez, as mentioned, Guahusi Victoria Lola Leon Guerrero, and I'm the interim director of publishing here at the University of Guam Press. And so when I was talking with Senor Melvin about kind of how we could help support these incredible efforts that you're doing, we were talking about wanting to share resources. And so today I'm just sharing screen to point you to a few different kinds of online resources available through the University of Guam Press. So the University of Guam Press is an active publishing house based at the Micronesian Area Research Center. Our vision is to enlighten the world about the peoples and cultures of the Micronesian islands. And so the first resource I wanted to point you to is our website, which is just uogpress.com. And this website is more of our e-commerce site. Oh, hello.
I forgot to.
Okay, Dispensa. It's an e-commerce site. So all of our, I think someone's microphone might be unmuted or might need to be muted. Okay. So it's a.
I got someone who wants me. Yes, please.
Sorry, there's someone's microphone is unmuted and I don't mind, but it's hard to talk. There we go. Okay, so this is our website where the University of Guam Press has been actively publishing since its revival in June of 2015. And we were very committed to wanting to publish cultural literature for children and adults. And so we do this through our imprint called Taiguini Books. So you'll notice on our website, there are several children's books that are written entirely in Chamorro. So I'll go ahead and click on Guaidadzin na Chunkan Manzanita as an example. And we currently have all of our Chamorro language resources on sale for Mes Chamorro. But also we're always really happy to support educators with discounts and book bundles. And we work very positively with our school districts to try to arrange for orders of these books for the classroom and the library. And so if you notice, usually if you click on an item, you can see other related items below. So for example, we have the Chamorro language learner bundle currently available, and you would get all of these incredible resources that are written Gifinut Samoru, and also books that talk about our values and our culture, and really try to engage children in what we believe in as people. The next thing I wanted to point you to is that the University of Guam Press has an open call for submission. So if you are writing in any language, we are open to receiving manuscripts that go through a blind review process. And so if you visit our website that is connected to the university, and I'll put all of these website links into the chat feature, go to uog.edu/uogpress. Our submission guidelines are available there. And what we are really interested in and excited about is really supporting authors who want to publish, particularly publications that are in our indigenous languages and tell our unique perspectives. So it takes a few months because when you submit the manuscript, it goes through the review process. But when it is accepted, we provide, copy editing, design, printing, marketing, and worldwide distribution. And so one of the things that we have found is that oftentimes, authors, when they submit, it may still be in an early draft. Their manuscript may still be in an early draft. And so that's why we do the review process, so that authors get a lot of feedback on how to prepare that manuscript for publication. The next thing I wanted to share, because I know that there are educators present, and Sizo Ismaasi for all your hard work in keeping our language alive and inspiring our children. For our Chamorro language children's books, we worked with a cadre of Chamorro language teachers at the Guam Department of Education, and we created classroom resources to accompany the books. And so this is from K through 12, and these resources were compiled by the Chamorro language teachers you see named here. And this is all available on our website. The other resource I wanted to share is our YouTube page. So all of our Chamorro language children's books are read by the author, and the reading is available here on YouTube. So you can always play the video for your students, and then the accompanying resources can be found here. So as I mentioned, I'll definitely be sharing the links in our chat, but also found here is we had partnered with the First Lady and did a reading of Carrera and Sirena with the incredibly talented young girls who wrote this book. And we're very interested in continuing to support other literary efforts throughout the archipelago, similar to this. And I'm especially excited to share that we recently entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Northern Marianas College to create a division of the University of Guam Press at NMC solely dedicated to publishing books about the Northern Marianas. And so through that partnership, we're going to be releasing our first book this summer called Marianas Mosaic, and it looks at contemporary issues across the Marianas. And this was done with great support and a grant from the Humanities Council. So Sizo Ismaasi, Leo, I see that you're here. And this is sort of the first book that is, you know, a UOG NMC collaboration. But we are also working together to launch a literary journal that will be, you know, based out of the college. And so these are all exciting things on the horizon, but also through this imprint, I hope that we will be better able to support writers in the Marianas who want to write and who want to publish with NMC and the University of Guam Press. Lastly, the important thing that I heard from Senor Melvin's presentation is this notion that so much of what's on the internet is in English, and it does make it difficult for language learners. And so we worked with the Young Men's League of Guam to start a Chamorro language database. And so it's found here on it's very new. We're just building the infrastructure for it. So a lot of the interface will change. It'll be a lot more interactive as we develop this database, but we have the UOG GUAFAC database, and there are several collections in the database. So there's a collection called Memoirs Pacifica, which features podcasts about different issues in Micronesian history. We have an incredible collection of Black and white photographs from the MARC. And then what I was very excited to share with you today is the Ymlg Chamorro language collection. And what this includes so if you go here, it explains the collection. If you click on view all 209 items, these are the different workbooks and storybooks created by the Bilingual Bicultural Association and the GDOE Chamorro Studies Division over the years. So there are currently 209 resources that include workbooks for the classroom of all sorts. So there's, 21 different pages where you can just scroll and find all of these incredible resources. And when I was last in the Cnmi, I had met with Miss Jackie at PSS, and we had talked about wanting to work together as well to put the Cnmi resources into this database. So I'm really excited about following up with that, because now that we have the infrastructure and the database available, I feel that it will be more complete if it includes language resources across the archipelago. And so I've had incredible working relationships with Mrs. Kirigua and Mr. Jonas Barcinas, who I see here today as well, half a day. And so our intention is that we're not just a Guam focused publisher, but that we create space for the beauty of our language, right? The intricacy of our language. I think it's incredible that our language has unique features across the archipelago. And so we would really like to work together to continue to publish more language learning resources and make them available both online and in print for our communities. Sizo Ismaasi.
Thank you.
Wow. We. Dr. Lola Victoria Guerrero Jesus Masita. What a plethora and wealth of information. And I think I was, well, as you were sharing those, gosh, awesome links, I looked to our director for our Chamorro Carolinian Language Heritage Studies, and the perfect portal to nota na konta is siya na pengkas itanokta. We have here cultural practitioners who've been for the last 3-4 decades since 19 and today continue to pioneer and really traverse and endeavor and journey on forward. Why? Gagi corazon niya, akusin corazon niya. Metun fehman ditso gunaisan niya no ilata filot Chamorro. I also look to our Indigenous Affairs Office, resident executive assistant to the Office of the Governor on Indigenous Affairs. Juan Tagabuel, the executive assistant for the Bulacio Refaluwash, the Carolinian Affairs Office, too, would be another portal platform for us to share all of these. So, Sidus Masi, University of Guam, Mark, our scholars from Guam and abroad, our scholars from the Northern Marianas who are here and abroad. There's really not any more excuse not to go back to basics and really make it go viral. No, mungay COVID, malata tatsogoy ila the mother tongue virus, make it viral. No, so Sidus Masi for this injection of hope, Dr. Chung as well as Lola Leon Guerrero. By the way, Lola is too his father or grandfather is Sablon de Leon Guerrero Familia Aguirre, my mom's first cousin. So Sablon all the way. And Dr. Chang also, Fernando Muno, great grandparents of Sablon. So half a day. Next on the panel is our resident executive, or executive assistant to the Office of Carolinian Affairs, si John Tagabuel. Are you online? We. Les ormamay naliyo. John Tagabuel, Juan, Iko, are you with us online? Or you're kasi lalasas email. No, para ta sidebook ta gulay apan. If not, John Tagabuel is young? Okay. Titifi pa agui lemay. Masa tanay vi no un minuto. Siguiente na presenter please. May lazat tanay ni gunayzat tarukwi. Is Ramon Tebutep, ang island Tebutep online from the Cnmi Sports Association, another strategic captive audience that I think sinihata na famta ta atitudzi ta iluzi i fino ila nanota fino Chamorro zanlakwi fino afazino kapas follower. Is Ray Tebutep online? Razor, are you online? Or are you on the canoe? The outrigger canoe practicing for Pacific mini games, coaching the team. Okay, and if not, Malaztabira Siatati, and last but not least, our other presenter from the Chamorro Carolinian Language Policy Commission, our own Executive Director, Odoshi Faisal for his sharing of what his organization, and for that matter, at home, teaching about our mother tongue. Senor.
Jesus masih lisod. May terong ngali gumial ngami. And also ngali ko MC. Well, I believe I've touched base on what the agency is mandated to do in my opening remark. So I've listed those portion of the Public Law 15-96, which enabled the existence of this agency. So far, the only issue that we have now is with higher education and other school educational learning institutions that are licensed to provide language courses or curriculum, and it lacks that provision or authority to give us the Chamorro Carolinian Language Policy Commission to have an oversight whether those curriculum are consistent with our Chamorro Carolinian orthography standard. And so far, we continue to provide translation only to government agencies because we're not given the authority in any enabling legislation to provide translation assistance to private sector. But we are given in the law to certify translators, and we're mandated to come up with that regulation, and it's with the current board, they're reviewing it, and it will be forthcoming. That I can assure everyone. Thank you very much.
Si Jose Masi, Executive Director para Izota Chamorro Carolinian Language Policy Commission, si Senyor as Melvin Odoshi Faisal, estamos hazan ta ikungok I man Antauro jan Rifalwash, our mother tongue, iila na nota. May lapago sa estigina uli no bisino lahin Marianas Mosaic si no makasada Bulasyor Rifalwash, Executive Assistant to the Office, to the Carolinian Affairs Office, under the Office of the Governor, Mailas at Tababa Tasedi. One no itibos at Tagabwet, please, let's hear with you. Mailas at Tanani Gunazata, Mr. Tagabwet.
Me lesor mama yang di kami, saumar me ilumar. Ibal ki mesegi hilar leami balhala atolngael al programael, zumiel basukal sufungel, basubo apsa makutukutul malyas. Amralis Chamorro me rafaloas. Ihal mat ihal me inila paisil me metakit tilapala la orael. Ye ihal musasabi ibrawe lal tempoe la hibala we alnger life aki moisengir kasarapalos. 70 participate. We make sure that them learn basic language from body parts, colors, and numbers, and even dancing and music. And really the challenge here to us is to find ways, no matter how it takes, we need to find ways to make sure that both our language survive. Thank you. Kilisorami.
Hiliso tumang Mariam John Tagabwell, ginin Bulasyor Rifalwash, the Office of Carolinian Affairs, that is strategically located down at Garapan, no Kantong Tosi, such that together with the Indigenous Affairs Office down south, no, they are able to continue their utmost best, given the circumstances we are in, para matutusi mga sinya, umadbansa mo na ilat na nota dyan ikuturata siya. Next is Ramon Tebutep online. If he is, we would very much appreciate listening to what he will offer with respect to our mother tongue through the sporting organizations that for decades, initially as a physical education PE teacher in the good olden days, or golden days. Yeah, I was just, and now as really a coach, an advisor, and an active member of our sporting community. Believe, are you online? Ray Tebatet? Cannot. Maybe if I may ask that there's going to be another panel discussion, that's panel number 2. And are we ready for a quick break, or we're going to proceed on? What do you think? Quick break. Let us tamizu fan nalalalo kun otakusiya. We go on. What do you think? Who wants to continue to go on?
I thought there was a Q&A.
Oh, Q&A. Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, malazata, before we go on a quick Speedy Gonzalez break, can we just open the what do you call this? The platform, the room, the virtual room to get any questions in. Any questions for Dr. Chung, Dr. Lola, C Director Faisal, and of course the Executive Assistant Juan Tagawell. Any discussions or questions for them, please?
We can put it in the chat.
And you can also put it in the chat, or you can ask it through your voice, no? Any questions? Okay, Secretary Igisomar, please.
Thanks, John. You're able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Generally, a question. The question is whether we have like a action plan of some sort with respect to the comments made by the speakers. Or generally, I kogwaha sta plano ni tamanu e faisil sebu amurri patagoti ilengwahi za tu falhingo. Por exemplo, monaga PSS kistinabanda gibandan education for Manobian, right? Where is PSS on that area? To share, if PSS may be able to share, where are they with respect to the bilingual languages requirements, or whether they are favorable or not, whether they're all just to rely on local funding or not. So I just did a quick research. The federal grants, Zabula Magahid, the Bandan Federal Manujang Salapi para Indigenous America, the Bandan Indians, Alaskans, in Texas, in Montana, the co Wahasisan Pasan Plano ni Patapan Manuli Salapi ni Federal, Azudazi either EPSS or Azudazi CAO or Indigenous Affairs. So umek Azudazi Izota PSS. Mainly sa utungahan nan man tatsak saga aware han virus man manili sa lapigin ni local funding za dunya focus magay English speaking language given the curriculum for English, but we really need help given the bilingual. I think I don't know the numbers now, but if those can be shared, where's PSS in that area, commitment and focus, then look za hita given the pata pan manili sa lapigin federal. Zanloki ufaisin si Miss Victoria bandan i writers ko singa lo kita promote sa tatungan na bulaha eso harmas kemura halmusalis tao naman malaguman mungi istorya lo pudi fananta sa access fanan tungan nagagi humanities loki sa sinya fananta mosta sangani totos siya sebuhal arang-armas we ayor millen na malabu tolong awis na mametan istorya. And I thank the organizations that have created those video online for our children. And right now, I think I'll give you an example. My daughter was given a pad but she didn't care for it. The pad is, of course, in English, has some shows where she can learn the language, the English language and English stories, but she didn't really care for it because she wanted the one that has a higher definition resolution movie, talking like Deva Neva, no, the Americano ne pareha mag-uuni in Indonesia. So she really enjoyed that. So I'm thinking that to help our video makers for our language, to support them get more funding to make those videos more interactive in a maybe higher resolution as well, to attract the children away from the telephones that mom and dad has. No? So I think I said too much, but generally I think kugaplan utan ni pata ataka todos siya to tackle them. Abo? Ila siya ka
Thank you, Jesus Masi. Of course, speaking as a parent, a father, and a community member for our islands as well, and a former elected leader. Jesus Masi, secretary now at the public land. So again, another welcome. We acknowledge those, I think, practical practices or maybe platforms that we can go the extra mile. I too agree, because I mean, when you see the kids nowadays, for example, they manmanain telephone and they're watching cartoons and animated programs, about language and the basics, rhymes. What do you call that? No, something rhymes, rhythm and rhymes. I remember going to Head Start, nursery rhymes. They were deep English Milane si rongorong. Deep English. So I remembered in Head Start no ikairo uno na mapenta na kairo malak. So the nursery rhymes, we've lost those. What are we not doing to bring it back and for the kids? We must capture them at their most primitive, primary, formative years as sponges, so we can then hope their attention span. And yeah, so I've seen programs, actually Guam. Thank you, in Guam, for developing these programs on it. And let's challenge our leaders in the Northern Marianas, the Indigenous Affairs Office, Carolinian Affairs Office, PSS, Northern Marianas College. We really need to work together, and even parents, and then let's access funds to do those things. But thank you, Secretary. I'm sure they're intently listening. Any other questions from our listening audience online? Dr. Lola, go ahead.
I just wanted to respond to his kind of question and point about how do we support writers and create more opportunities for writers that want to make these resources. And so I'm really hoping that the partnership with NMC and our continuing partnership with the Northern Marianas Humanities Council will open up opportunities for more writing workshops. I had a really wonderful experience in February, right before the shutdown. Leo had helped organize and NMC a series of writing workshops. And so we did a couple at the college, we did one at the library, and then we did one at the Cacman Community Center. And just the wealth of knowledge and talent within the writers that I met that day really made me very excited. And I would be happy to support and continue to collaborate with these organizations to create more spaces for writers to come together and meet. But a successful model that's worked for us here at the press has been our Menyatlani Mentitigi Writing Fellowship. And so we have 18 writers currently that are divided into 3 groups of 6, and they meet every 2 weeks, and basically they share each other's writing and give each other feedback. So 2 writers are workshopped every 2 weeks from that group. And then we were able to also get funding from the Guam Economic Development Authority to host a writing retreat where the writers in this fellowship program who already had a full manuscript. But what we're finding from writers is oftentimes, you get the writing out, but then don't have time for the revision process and the preparation to go publish. And so they had a retreat for 4 days, just fully committed to finishing their manuscripts. And from that, we got 2 of those manuscripts submitted for publication. And then also from the writing fellowship, we started like an online blog called Sung Stories. And so we're creating opportunities for these writers to support each other as a community and give each other feedback, because, a lot of times that's kind of what we need, right? We just need others to keep us writing, right? So it's like, if you have a deadline, you meet every 2 weeks, you keep writing. And then if you receive feedback, it only makes it better. And then we immediately create multiple ways to publish. So whether it be in an online blog, now the Pacific Daily News is publishing Sung Stories in the newspaper once a month. And then the goal is that eventually it'll come here as a full publication. And so I would love to continue to discuss ways to do this as well in the Northern Marianas, like I said, through this MOU with NMC or through the Humanities Council. I know Andrew was here earlier, and I know that's something he was really passionate about as well. So, there's so much opportunity. I think one of the things that I'm always a huge advocate for is really just prioritizing our stories and our voices, right? So making sure that our children are learning first about themselves before reading books or learning about someplace thousands of miles away. And so, we're here to support in any way needed. I can also put my email address in the chat for those who may be interested in hosting workshops and want, advice or support in those efforts. Sizos maasi.
Nakalu na sizos maasi Lola for sharing those. By the way, zangin man holu mamzigi chat esta si Lola no anafan apatihid no i na listan resources online. We have many aspiring writers throughout the Marianas region. And so I think it's important. Hopefully, again, I want to publicly challenge our Language Policy Commission, our Indigenous Affairs Office, our Chamorro Carolinian Language Heritage Studies, Northern Marianas College, and of course, Leo at the Humanities Council, and all the nonprofit organizations really to take up these offers. There really is not any other reason not to. So, bata fanatipid mona, tayo manuay kadena, no? There's really not, and so there's really so much opportunities that abound. Thank you so much for that. Any other question before we go on a quick break? I also see Benny San Nicolas, I think, had mentioned, is there a playhouse, theater house here where our children, teens, and adults alike can form an actor's guild and place a writer's guild? Whatnot. One of the things that I miss from the schools is really the clubs. The high schools, the junior high schools, the elementary schools really also would be awesome as extracurricular activities to go back to basics and forming those clubs with advisors. Many of us, I'm sure, are able to come and be advisors for these clubs. That's another opportunity for our kids to capture them as early as they can. And Lola just shared her email, victoria.lola@triton.ug.edu. Any other questions? Benny San Nicolas, Senor.
Buenas noches. Malagolo de Paisin Amzula da Istimagait buenas para todos. Respeto para todos. Maktonay magina berbe Paisin magait ni put isti iling buhita. Suka Chamorro pada Chamorinian pada Carolinian. Malah jata terdoga mau nan isti. Debe pilih letera. For us to have our children speak our native tongue, our mother tongue. Isanga lagi laptop tadi ni tuhun gigima. It starts at home. Unggan. So we must add on also from home, not only to the schools, but also out there in the community. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. Our community is not supporting this. We try. Here at IAO, we try as much as possible to get our community involved. But when we throw out programs and events and ask for the community to get involved, kalunggov market para siya no. I know this for a fact because as a recorder, I'm very passionate like in what I do for our people. Very passionate. Kumahono so pre lati sites tumaktan so mamamay sino disposition. Pero isti tau uy tahitan man tau no. You know, I ask for forgiveness for our people because of the way we are right now. Here at Indigenous Affairs, we're going to the Lati sites to clear it up. And at the start when we first cleared the place, weekend, usas tadeo. I wear my sodi when I go up to the weekends up there, the Lati sites. A lot of people, many of the people here in Saipan don't know this. But my wife and I, we go up on the weekends to the Lati sites. And we offer ourselves. We have that urgency and the respect and the love for our ancestors. So we must show our children, teach our children. Ilengguahi, kultura, hihinengi. Tanigui na jazon pari tanota, pari yuhita. I am writing a play of how and where we came from to present day. It's still halfway, I'm halfway done of that playwright. And when that's done, I want to introduce it to whatever or whoever filmmaker we have here in Saipan. My love for my people is strong. Many of you know who I am. Many of you don't. Let's just say this. We live for the future. Let not our past determine or dictate who we are today. Because the past has nothing to do with the present or the future. The past is the past, but we learn from it. When we fall, it's not how and why we fell, but how and past we pick up ourselves up and what we bring up together.
Señor, dispensa tasen agradeci I antau na jan fet mana sinentemo za pudi ora mampus no tatafena si Zeus masi za insen agradeci za puedia I sinentemo ha no pogat I linazan ni mane kung pago za sempre mane kitusin mona I para pago si Zeus masi. Thank you, Mr. Senaglas, matana papaki si Senyor. Kasi nagradesi. Si Leo Pangilinan, no ginini Humanities Council, o true no mampus antaw ang geftaw na inednon na opisina para una atitudya manusinya kung ikulturata san lokui ilata. Gwini kita nota. Senior.
Jesus Masi John, the dispensa gagi gini si Roberto Santos, presidente ni Pride Marianas, lo gagi loki di oficinota. Gua malagonia po dago ujung pada di panelists buat i LGBTQ community dan i official malagonia i Pride Marianas potogi di mamailan na mes para i Pride Month di Junio na mes. Pues pinaalom si Roberto Pago. Question.
Tahinengi Leo, amaga umugaan, Santos and Lesor Mamay, si Roberto Santos. Like Leo said, I am the president of Pride Marianas, and in preparation for Pride Month in June, I would just like to put on the radar that we would like to stimulate discussion regarding the vocabulary, the indigenous vocabulary in Chamorro and Refaloash for the vocabulary surrounding pride. This came up recently last year and it was too late to do anything official, but we would like to definitely start talks in the community to decide on what we use or what we will use for the idea of coming out of the closet, for example, or what it means to be proud or to celebrate pride. I know in Guahan they have accumulated a vocabulary of their own, and in our own discussions here on Saipan, I've noticed that the same words don't necessarily resonate with the people here, which is a very valid and interesting cultural aspect of the discussion. So please just consider this my personal invitation to invite whoever is interested in being a part of this discussion to please reach out to me, pridemarianas@gmail.com, which I'll put in the chat. We would love, of course, for the Office of Indigenous Affairs and Carolinian Affairs and Chamorro Cultural Affairs to be part of the conversation. Ideally, the vocabulary comes from within the LGBTQIA community because these words are our own. But obviously we want to be partnering and have the blessing of our experts and our own Saina in this discussion. Thank you.
Since un agradecimiento Humanities Council, zamanay kung kai manluta gwini para un maupitati Roberto no good luck ni no sa anug na loki man malagam zupin na fansono iilata no enona init no sizo sumasi no any other discussion. We'll go ahead zata we'll go on a quick break. Tazagwan no tafan Hagong, inhale, outhale. No, that is your trip. If I say I'm Steve in Chamorro na linya masa halong, we swear out. Gim masa halong supposed to be in, right? Lo hafa naman we swearing out. Gimaga masa hujong. Angko daw no. Angko daw no kung bisita ta taneno ko masa halong or masa hujong. Preciso trip atatsong papa, Dennis Kineri tafan matatsong papa. Santi pa tafan matatsong hulo. Mga kumaulo kahulo or kahulo papa. Kahulo, right?
Inepekto po din no. Inepekto po din na palabras mo ni masa halom kung may kanya minaipi masa ginin halom daw mo hujong minaipi kita tauto adi na masan mali na masalom. Okay?
May umedzag juta lupa ko. No, kus imaniluta na imagin guam de pinauro na fansaw no luku inay. No, lo amaga umugaan para hamzo todo maila sa tafan me tafan hogong zatafan gimin hanum Santa Lourdes and hanum bobo hanum. Si Jesus masi unatuta. We'll be back in 5 minutes. It's now kiora di pago. Yeah. Jonas kiora pago. Okay, alas 10:30, pues 5 minutes. Tazagwa, 5 minutes, please.
Yeah, but yes.
Okay, so we'll be back at 10:40. 10 minutes. Jesus Masi, please be back. Thank you. Guahaha dididi finaisin zan finihu gizota chat gi entalu I mga kwentus sem tenis kia baihu tuka eno zata opi o sinota no tuka huzong no. And by the ways pabinafan manunga menyeluta istiling wahita na no guaha iji fino rispitazum gi kada manera hinasota kinalamtenta sinangonta finota hinasokuna debi na urispetazun ifinota no ifinota guf precisuna urispetazun sa ifino manomko ipalabra munana maguf ipalabra munana bubo kiumbanda giotrubanda apatalo iheturan ifasumo imaskara na matamo lokwi giotrubanda no umanunui ko magahit ko faji ho no ko pibetsu ho ne sinangan mo ko honggitsu no ko dakun ho no kus enegi tomoro ta tuka ta gen talun ne da ne sa pura lu sana kan manasik ta lumas no hafan no tahasasay mona sin hafan edition Mrs. Francis Manibusan Sapla.
Si Usmasi, amaga umogaan todos. No, lesser mamay. Good morning. Apaisinzu si i-director dyan si Pat para be Quentus Pudbandan Marianas Alliance of Non-Governmental Organizations inetnun ni Uget Lului como Executive Director dyan afa i-position mommies and hafa in Tetsegui para ben na mamta i-lengwahin na nota our mother tongue ni masasangan ni man participanti. No i-mas permit na rason na mangaygiham i-Marianas Alliance of NGOs put para ben azuda i-inetnun siya gwini giza sangkatan ni Isas Marianas gibandan no mage luhi inetnun niya zan lokui often azudo ni siya para ben extendi para siya no pero nasuguro na man maulik mo na ikareran niya. Pues na inetnun guaha 85 membros siya gua 47 na inetnun zan 38 na individual. No guaha mas ki na inetnun gwini gi sangkatan na Isas Marianas lo titodo man maregistra siya como non-profit organizations. Zan titodo lokwe ni man gaigi gwena huzun gi sangkatan na Isas Marianas man membro giza mango put bula siya na rason. Lo edisya i-membrun mami maguzu pabisangan na nogay sumasano Northern Marianas Humanities Council, por ejemplo, sumasano lo que Chamorro Cultural Village Incorporated mas matungonya como CCVI, zan Commonwealth Women's Association, zan lo que 500 sales, zan megay otro siya na inetnun ni pumatetehi zan kuminsisigi mo na ilingwahita parewa Chamorro zan mefalawash za tibe kubri todo man amanyasano gini na kinalamtin lo be no highlight for no English no palu. Sumasano lokwi inet nun kultura nativan Marianas kor aramasal Marianas mas matungonya gi alatsa como inet nun amu jan kultura nativo za guahasia guni alam ikwatu no membro yano na inet nun tat como si director Melvin Paisaus and director Roman Tudela. So be consiga mo no esisya individual ni manyasano guni na inet nun I mango za insosuzu sa guazan mami website insosuzu na hadisya man malago man participaw no ufanyaw no guahano aplikasyon sino on cumple pero on registrado. Pues uno na membro niyo menciona in Northern Marianas Humanities Council sa Leo Bifangago Dispensation sa tiukubri todo i programa ni on pisisigi mo na law bisangan hafa siya idos na programa ni sumoso na za no nonay agradecimiento uno ezi mapananan i cultural icons anok nagaigizu como uno gi ni manai eno na onru zabe no na anno kazisya ochu ni usoda agialum izeniano website i ochu ginin esina na fondo American Rescue Plan guhasiano bulan na aktibidad estina membron mami no matotogui no imas no current is the island time no play esti ni poroma ni sama film za sempre humuzing video eno uno na project za gohasia na palabra Chamorro ma necessity por como leksyon i ocho i ezima panana ni Marianas Mosaic radio talk show ginin i kinilamtin i nenun kultura nativo Marianas akor aramasal Marianas muna possibly esti then for English we're partnering up with Glenn Manglonia Didiano Leo tunga na sempion amentazi I programa mizu lo esti I otusia na icons ni mana anu za malaknu suzung ginin esti na programa I zan na inet nun I Northern Marianas Humanities Council si Donald Mendiola uno ginesti commission I Chamorro Carolinian Language Policy Commission visa I vice chair lokri si Senor Lino Olapay visa uno gi cultural icons then guhasia lokri na I bailador gi refalowash zan I bailadora ginin I Morales or I Chamorro I ocho na net nun I Carolinian Cultural Village guhasia namigay na programa ni no en Aguaja diski maski 10 años iski no en Aguaja es na inet nun za no Christmas in the Marianas no is a mommy partner MBA no en Aguagua no es competencia para es siya mga kanta za makakanta mga kanta gifinota ifino Chamorro fino Repalawash then fino English I tres na official na lingwahe I otro Loco isya man bailadoras and bailador and on dili na naritatu gisang papa mandanya I bailadoras and bailador gidos na kultura I Chamorros and I Repalawash isan hilo I programan no Lazak I programan Satman eno loco no samosano gi programan istina na inet nun I ukulele fest kada sakan diskeni gaigi si la difuntu Joe Limis managwahanis in programas esa no adingo di luta lo makunsisiya sina bonitun programa zangwasya lamigay no manyasa no lo ki CCVI manazuda gezi I mapananan Pacific mini games zan afasya ocho na aktibidad ni man mapaisin ham za gob sasangan na ham sa sekretaria zo si John Oliver Guiza I tresorario I ocho na net nun ni tumotsunik mo na za pumertetehi I lingwahe na nota I net nun kultura nativo Marianas kora aramasal Marianas gaigi gwini de tatun jisya I manzo amti tat como si señora Carmen Taimanyao, si Senora Tai Antilatizo, no? Salalila. Si Rosa, no? Then Guatalo Ochusiano, si Tona Gisanhilo, no Sinanonia, no Jo Amti, za no me exact loqui, no? Pues la migración actividad estina inetnun, matsogui zan matotogui, para conseguir mona e tres na oficiales na linguagem guini giza norte Marianas e amo e directory ni i director as Faisal no Faisinham ko na puro ma reprint cosa que sinya no apati huzung ya man manyasano gunin na no webinar i Chamarita project no no mamaila na no puro ma imprinta si Manny Borja Guizan no gumet luluisi za na yang fondo ginin i American no native apa za zi Anna the administration of Native Americans parewa din zi amot unge ha Chamorita project Pues si Zeus Masi no director no na claro hafaz na project zanedzi loki amo directory ginini Anna Grant estimo na possibly lo a reprint no en sosozu i publiko no para ufanazuda ma reprint esa no man na i man nakmu si tinyan no legislative delegation za no manazuzuda pero ma reprinta esi na bonito no resource. No disay amo demonstrations, displays, tasting, Indigenous Affairs Office, Lului as Director Tudela, siya no muazuzudahan mo na gibandan fondos and puro mana posible sina bonito no aktibidad. Ihadin guaha matutun hadin gi opisina niya za guaha loko ginin forestry debi ben konsigi mo na sina bonito no idea parewa gizaluta guaha loko hadin niya no hadin amod zan loko tinian ma cheche kosinya matobisti. Chamorro dictionary Hami fiscal agent so estinainet nun za olamon no esti 10 años na finatoto za gagi si Dr. Chong na no visa diskitutuhon manazuda za nila defunta as Dr. Inus lo pagu si Dr. Chong then si Dr. Elizabeth Rehave then si Manny Borjas and si Tita Hokuksia gumelului esti na bonitun toto za olamon no ta imprinta esi na diccionario. Marianas Agupa ni mensiona gilatap guaha cultural experts mga kuntus kada dos semana diski maposnya na mes za sempre makpo gunigi mazu za nanay agradecimiento i Northern Marianas Humanities Council. So didi asisya na ejemplo ni matutugui ni asisya na hinetno ni 500 sales ginin i programa niya ni Paramanango ginin i Lazag za ni Sakman ginin i Songsong Mami ni manbabayla za mga kanta siya gi todos na lingwahe Chamorro and Refalawash ilalazag na programa para Famalawan ipeskan tadung zan kada domingo man gaigi gi kantun tasi gi gumasatman na man lalazak gi kantun tasi so isisya didi na programa ni ma tsotsugi ni member siya na inetnon ni poro konsigi mo na idos na lingwahe. Ocho Isla Montessori no uno na membro ni pumananagui todos na lingwahe Chamorro za ni Refalawash gi eskwela niya za si Manny Borja Guiza no pumasisigi mo na gi lingwahe Chamorro za leku na guaha ocho siya man nazuzuda gi Refalawash. Pues guaha siya man membro ni mango ni man animo pumertehi and kuminsigi mo na lingwahe amensiona si Victoria Lola PIBA Pacific Islands Bilingual Bicultural Association ti isang kata na isas Marianas no nagagis ti na netno na kantodo guahan jan pamalu na islas ki sa Micronesia gini nun tempo sa Mosono American Samoa ni paguma Fort Masti na inet nun lo zan Hawaii lo timan active paguna ora lo Micronesia mampus man active. In Northern Marianas Islands Football Association, por ejemplo, nuebuha naman sauno I lingwahin Chamorros and Refaloas gi iteman niya para I-football za unuzo gi witness ni matsogi si sa guahu comentos por esi tres na tema I-otro I-Christian Mothers Funonya si Director Faisal na igimazuus no mampus 3 kilo ni poro o protehi lingwahita Chamorros ni Refaloas gibandan nobena, gibandan kanta, zan otro siya na aktividad. Pues estando munazando señor ni Pateco, didiyasi na ejemplo ni menciona gini ni membros mami ni prometetehi za comensisigi mona za sumapopota esti na idea I para ta usa I lingwahita masihafa na lingwahi za ta usa funo Dr. Chong za masih 10 minutos sa no funo English it goes a long ways guau uno ejemplo sa ani dumodang kuluzo gizagwahan sa mapanyagon gwahan zo tisinya zo fumino Chamorro usasangan na gado ni lau guina tempo gagado na diskipago lo mas laksi sa todo siya ginado ni gumogoti lau zati muna posible pa bepino Chamorro lo ukumprendi lingwahi za puri ani umuzo magi para sa ipan gimit 978 na no upraktika fumino Chamorro za ginin enno ipeta mas mababa gibandanin lingwahi so Dr. Chong ezi ifinomo za mensahimo ni tana setbi kada dia masih 10 minutos sa puno English importante sa guahu uno na ejemplo na sinya ha matsogi dan sinya po posible eno si Jesus masi Señor.
Con Winaiza Talu zan Ymlg Ymlg asen agradeci Finihu zan ihafas si Señora as Francis M. Salon hari pas kita todo no cosa kita tungo hafasya na tingkas zan setsu sumasuk Ymlg zan mana apipit mo na tama na sangan sa Northern Mariana Islands Humanities Council zani katkwet siya na no manaktungo pod iila Chamorro kos kapas Refaloas. Si Jesus Masi Mengo, Mrs. Sablan. Siguiente na participant, by the way, sa mizo pa nalalong raw, tuto ako, favor, kufay sin hamzo, esta man ma-share i-link para izokta valuation, no, hafay na sunmizo po di Steve, neni na i-premier na dinanyata po di iila Chamorro. Please look into the chat. Because the link of the evaluation has been sent. Otherwise, the email you had provided when you registered will also have that evaluation link. Very critical for us to get your feedback so we know what are the strengths and of course what are other opportunities ahead. No, lokwi malagozo mo mention man maktupago man sauno, you will all get a copy. Christmas is early of itzi ortografia, reglamentun ortografia, no? In Chamorro, zan lokwi alihul mesali shir Refaloas, the orthography rules for the Carolinians. So we've got these, of course, the brochure of the Language Policy Commission, and if that was not enough, you will all get a copy of the Carolinian Dictionary made possible by awesome friends at Northern Marianas Humanities Council, funded by. So this is the Carolinian Dictionary, pues distilamos na ang manonood para i-gym para i-walkway. David ta ang pinurfalawas. Dr. Chang, no, is that David ta tutuhon, no? No, man pinurfalawas. So here it is, okay? Right on. So everybody will get, those in attendance will get these. Thank you to the Language Policy Commission and the Humanities Council. Malata na pakpak, biba ginetaw. Biba. Biba masahudong, masahalom, no, matahudong ginetaw, no? Si Jesus masi. Isigente na no kwentos malazata kaisin jangkin po na dos Rom. Oh. Okay, popolo sa si Roman. Okay, Puspolo no basta mo jangkin po dos, no? So next presenter, ladies and gentlemen, i gumihilului po Fino zan ila Chamorro zan Carolinian i public school system. Malazata no i respeto zan ganizata as Jonas manibusan Barcinas ginini PSS para naihi di definido. Bui, cielo.
Si Jesus Mose, Senyor John. Undang ko na si Jesus Mose para Chamorro in Carolinian Language Commission ni Hanoi di sina oportunidad patapan danya sa tapan konversasyon puri Filipino niya International Decade of Indigenous Language. Pwede yung kaso, but may sign language ka. Pwede tutulog taso, no? Okay, ko inhingo kaso po. Na kaulufan este damagas miso ko. Malika? Okay. Talo no half a day, lesser mo para todos iman participar pago no este na summit. Talo undang ko na si Jesus Mose para i-director, executive director, yes, to Mr. Melvin. Sa limang itaw niya, sa loki todo imagas indigenous offices, binig sa Marianas, undang ko na si Jesus Mose. Sa todo am sa gano'n, manggaya gano'n itilibig-big hulo, undang ko na si Jesus Mose indanyayam no kipago. Paraguaho, ipati Paraguaho no malago zo na be informa todo i komunidad jan todo mangai gwini na itsetso mami gi Cnmi public school system soso zo jan na undang tulo na si Jesus Mose para Commissioner of Education, State Board of Education, our Senior Director for Curriculum and Instruction, si Ms. Jackie Kirugwa, jan loki dos na taw-taw gas no Senyora Monica Pua nuevo ne kundi para curriculum writer para Carolinian. Jan loki si Senyora Cristiana Dueñas para Chamorro curriculum writer. Jan loki undang tulo na si Jesus Mose para todos maestro 50 na maestro Chamorro jan irafarawas. Utung agwahagan ng mga igan o huzang loki na may ekumo. Pati para hami itsetsohu jan itsetsomomi gi sistema gi Eskwelahan Publiko, ipabinpanagwi, ipamagon na lingwahe Chamorro zan Carolinian. Kada 20 mas pati para afazili niya akademia no, eleksyon siya ni promatungo. Bula waha standards and benchmark na debi po matatizi ni maestro, zangin magpapanagwi pamagon pos azul na standards and benchmark debi loki orthography umatatizi ni inuebo na orthography, tezi orthography in Guam, lo orthography in Islas Marianas. Debut matatizi durante ni pinanagmin niya. Loki isinga iman maestro man mamanagwi, zangin timan manai na professional development or training ni manisisita. Pues wala siya training man manai iman maestro para matituzi mo na sa profan mas mauli sa mas ilipin niya kalaktos hinasunya no ni profan mafanagi fa maguntagi todo klase manera pues no unggan iman maestro sinelekta no chetsu niya para fan manafan pilot Chamorro sa nafarawa si pamagunta law behuna klaro para todos na uhuhungo jan sen makahire na igima itinituhun ilingwahi ihali isaina ihali inanata zanitata pues zangin pabi sangani am zo toro do ginti todo si de mangaigi weni ta faisin maisa hitfan zata hasu ko todi if magwanta man pino man fit man pino Chamorro pat fit man pino Carolinian. Zangin ti kulang no ti tatsotsoge ju chitsota ajge ko mekelenya na debi tafan apipit eskwela i komunidad zanigima debi tafan apipit todo tafan azuda sa dongkules na nakadga para todos especialmente para iman maestro. So tungwa imanyay na singelenya ay tali maestro ti matsogi chetso niya. Chetso iman maestro ni para uma debi pamaguno matungo man pinot sa Chamorro zang Carolinian. Lo behuna klorwa na ahi ti magahi reno. Chetso ta todo ili pinueji i afazi i MBA. You know, afazi ili pinunya tourism is our business, ilingwahi, ikultura, business talo ki todos, no? Tafanazo na. Pues, waha siya no pati no training po fan malay lo ki man maestro. Istali uplenenya zo sa nizun mami curriculum writers. Iman mamamela na mes, especialmente lo ki is summer. Sena maguf estilo ki kadagwahan no aktibidad Indigenous Affairs, Chamorro and Carolinian, Language Commission, and DCCA, Humanities Council. Unang ilo ko lang ko na si Jesus Masi sa aktibidad niya mansasono todo ifamagun giskwela. Por exemplo nito sa Guahay Lipinonia manaatot si parada ni Zilinga si Johnny Cadena no na idebia na panatot si todo sa ti eskwela at so eskwela na so todo komunidad testige. Por exemplo nito zaman belahya undang na agradecimiento lo ki afasi isota siya partners ki komunidad. Loki pa binformam zo todo na guha 25 na maestro gala may CCLHS Chamorro Carolinian Language Heritage Studies Program. Mansasono the University of Guam BS degree Chamorro Studies BS degree.
Pues man monazan tinisisisan man maestro gi Agosto. Estia na Agosto. Pulang crash course sila Pinonia. Lo bonito sa NMC, PSS, zani University of Guam. Guahan no loki agreement, MOU ginin hami todo na pabinagwahay sa na programas, pabinazuday maestro siya. Nesta guayzo niya AA degrees and mas takilo, dan mas bulan na credits ni para pansawno. Pues na maguf sa bula si imasasono pago bula tiningunin niya bula no manamay siya impormasyon gini man maestro ni para mapraktika gala mi classrooms teneski man send kalakto siya na maestro wah lo kezi na maestro está tsuli donya BS degree or master's degree lo man saunawa sa no taze kolonizilinga taze dunya background giban man Chamorro studies no didivia ani man halan po from maestro pas pago teneski mas maninayin no apazin no ganas dan mas hinasu ni para ufan mas no maulik mo na gitsetso niya. Loki no programan mami wahay sa mami website Office of Curriculum and Instruction
za wahan no kadat no content area no wahay sa niya no website po sa CCLHS loki wahay sa niya website ni Bula siya lep blues na isingay man maestro matsuli za manaserbi para sa niya BBU online pat loki manaserbi famagun para manaytay za no mas pues no in afazili Pinonia in tsatsagin na sinyan mami za man maestro pa bin aligo empeño pa bin nagwaha mas material para man maestro gi 1921 Zan Loki 19 si Miss Jackie wahan na sa Salapi ziling circle striving readers in Salapi that's a grant writing grant funds hanapan halam Loki si Silechas todi man maestro za izgi na in Patinas no man Patinas samsya no lessons no afazi lesson activities almost kulang curriculum Loki lo digital no digital materials para mañana za man maestro Zani pamagun pus available okay zi para todos imanyaina. Zai maestro man sa servizia na iguahan no pandemic zat kada man eskwela ti man eskwela man eskwela ti man eskwela no. Pus esta no guahan location for fazi material na in Segui za lo sisigam wana ben benaliwan penyo ben for mamatinas mas material para iprograma. 8 mes agupa no agupa agwini agupanya gweno gi iringa abrid na mes no wahalo ki PSS CCLHS ni Cultural Heritage and Indigenous Month ni eskwela is school level na klase no aktibidad ni iman maestro para planuzi i aktibidad di kada no fazer no semana ni po forma agam siya halom no isota local practitioners imanyaina nezig wahasya no fazer man wahasinga man matsogi pa presenta para huzong para pamaguon siya pues no tenski komunidad man maagan halom gi fazer imes i abrid para ufan saunaw sa located indigenous no agencies within gini Marianas. Sembunito estigi sa anay umbiay, magmento sam sa Indigenous Affairs zani komite siya nili mami 20 tanabira i abrid para waktu di Oktobre o September ni na celebrate i Cultural Heritage Month para entire no para todo Islas Marianas. Dahil niya mga Mr. Barcinas malanya ta kontinua gi abrid loki sa tanagwaha sa tenis kizangin un mesa tatsogi i lingwahito zani kutorata siya na mataya pues taki orto talo sakan pues molik na tanagwagwa didi zogwa ilikino niya continue di para ifamagun ni para upan zinahu hulu zoma asuzi na zan lokyo matituzi ilingwahi zani kultura. Waha umunguka si former senator zani I guess executive para public land pwede ziling sa lapi no hanggang si Kilili isota Washington rep no manmangyam grants and si Miss Jackie, Senora Jackie zaman manayam transmit siento na afazi na salapi pabinasabi para igipandan no professional training para man maestro. Utungwa nagwahaloki no manayam gini snayo isay pa na Northern Islands no legislative delegation mamanayam loki no 5,000 pabin pati zani social studies na content pabin panmamatinas dan develop no afazi history books that is place-based, evidence-based within our community. Giza Marianas sa purwa po bandang Marianas Zaulilia nagaya ibanaw si Senyor Novini Orsini program manager para social studies. Pues kami na dos pago gumiluluwed sige pabinaligo yung penyos de mano ni pabin na punhasan is tinaleblo lord teniski no inafan matsotso loki man maestro siya gini gumiluluwed zan no siya singan hanay sinyan este mano ni partana zan direksyon este na textbook. I guess no estia no pabisangan pago sa lingwaha Kristonizo na tungozo listo zo pabi fazi pabi opiam zo tati law bulan satsagi curriculum writers pago man fazi man matitinas no progressive curriculum kinder stay 12 manaazudam medyo pabinaligan penyo na hafag katiza, primer, segundo, tres grado, o todo este 12 grado. Hafag debi po mafanagi gibanda ni lingua in Chamorro ng Carolinian. Zamunga na para maestro para mafanagi no leksyon para todo grado no. Kulang no talza no teleski tigo kasi no manmanungay famagon law talo. Por favor, undang ko na si Jesus Masi para todo man maestro CCLHS program may matsatsagi sa Loki immersion. Pabinatuan zo na esta inimplementa immersion gi todo elementario gini sa Marianas. Lo intutuhon gi kaptiza. Ocho sakan, teres ki umalan primer, segundo, todo sigya hulo, zaulara guahan no lipinonya cohort no, para ikatiza este 5 grado. Za ulara mon ulala estige lo salapi talo ta necesita gini para ta man hire personnel, no? Para lo ulara mon Commissioner of Education no waha hinasu zani leadership loki nezi para stemana ni patana adilanto ezo man maestro ni pofan halum gini gi immersion. Si Jesus masi ulo mo.
Malata na kapokit si Luca, Jonas, Barcinas, pod no anok na afasi tawluk hati taptaji, no? No ihafasta ialatsa na so language na ilingwahe na programa di PSS. No usen haswa loki tapti district access itun na namit taima niyo siling Marciano,
Lumi,
Silo defunta Lumi, anay si Lumi no staba kay gizo gi public library za sumen na magup sa EPSS binabiyahin natin po sa ni man maestra man mamatinas di siya afasi mafahlanan flip charts, no? Pod no ipaptin itataw-taw, ipaptin itrongkunizok, no? I-alfabeto, todo siya katwen na sa gof no akawlok no preciso na tingkas resources ni tanabahazi giso tan children's library esta pago gagaya guiza no si Mr. Barcinas building upon all of those zani man antaw zan man menhalo na no maintain i programa sa Chamorro sa Carolinian di public school system. Zan si Susi Tansulamito, dalawa po si Uncle Henry di punto no Iglesia Sablan. Puros di siya man faji. No, faji gi men halum zan manantaw na tilingo so man fa si David Omar siya todo jo limes todo no siya man faji no faji niya pues ahi faji is na doesn't mean no pibetso para it's giving na context, it's their God-given talents and abilities. Ito sumasimata na pagpaki si Jonas. Dani PSS no public school system zan una nangga si Mr. Barcinas po sa nga lupsanizo panalalo manyay na mapipulang gigima na may latafan atipit. Hamzo tutuhon gigima, hami ben tsohlo giskwela, za hamzo tsohlo tati gigima. No? Lomampus nice, lokobi sa nga manyay na, chobi che chobi cho, masahalong mamatahuzo. Okay, how ferry, neta de ferry merela review. Ya, sa obligasyon, tuman laisin. Dahil sa pala nonsense. Okay, basta na sa ibabariyas at pilimatsis gwini. Sa ferry meta diputsi, ya, sa obligasyon. Dahil yung mata. Okay, basta si nonsense. Ilang man sinaligas. Eh, right on. Anyways, wala na pagpapin mo niya yung nagiging na. And 6-2, you raised your hand. Yes, sir, my brother. Bubi. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thanks, John, and family. I'm very happy to hear it. But may I just give a again, I often do that funny, making fun of it, but I'm not going to make fun of it, but I want to share it so that we can maybe understand. You know, so I just want to share a point of view. For example, she can sing silent microphone. And I really listen to her clearly. She's getting better and better because she's able to pronounce the accents. And so I try to listen into that. And she's able to do that and sing when she's singing them, I'm noticing that she wouldn't be too tongue twisted when she goes up learning Carolinian tomorrow. She'd be a lot better. But what I wanted to say also is communication at home, John, can be very hard. Because now I read this story that I want to share with you. This is mine. A long time ago, when I was in early elementary, I did personally experience an abuse by PSS teachers, threatening me to speak English and stop speaking Carolinian on campus grounds. Otherwise, I would be harmed. A rope was shown to me, while another child of the office with hands tied behind their back because they spoke Carolinian too. The point here is, no one was at home to teach me English, we spoke only Carolinian. So my generation, I was born in 68, were all forced to speak English. Today, we are trying to put handbrakes. Most times, my generation can still speak fluent Chamorro and Carolinian. But nowadays, we have many parents way younger than our generation who do not speak the local language anymore. Or maybe they understand the language, but not able to speak. Plus, most of the grandparents, grand and great or great are gone and not able to help us. And so I like to say that the curriculum, the schools, if I may put it bluntly, does owe us a payback. We will do our best to teach our children at home, but I really like the organizations and the school to find a way to really stress that Carolinian and Chamorro language be taught and be funded strongly, because they owe us that back. They stole that from us. I mean, not them, not the people, but the fact that we were forced to use our language and speak the English. Now these English must fund us, pay us back. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Por ejemplo, in high school, nagwaha para kejo ati na pagkakon sa medyo nagwaha mandatory na turo sa ako ng scripture na wala so I don't care where we come from. So they can fast in walking, in grammar, and to speaking or conversation. It must be. Sa ulo para, ang gagawin sa high school, ilason na puro peryodo ng management top 1, top 2 na grades. Sa baha at sinarungan sa statistics to research the internet if a language has a dictionary and is written, which thankfully we have now, a child can have something to hold on to. So I hope I'm not going against teaching at home. I'm saying, yes, we're going to do our best, but we really need also the institutions to pay us back.
Thank you, Sidrus. Maasig, so tumabren again. I look back and remember the golden days when I grew up with Sixto down at Lalifao, and all the rest. I see my other classmates, Sister Gloria Russian, and people of my age. We were born 19, so it's been awesome, productive years. I look to the resources, Jonas, that you shared. Dispensa sa no kulantigof no. I totally I'm offline, except for communicating with my sons abroad. No, so I don't even read the papers. I don't even read nothing. I don't even listen to the radios. I rather go out and garden and work out and sweat because why? But thank you for sharing those resources. And ano manyanuza maninahu na. Masutsuda, because resources are out there. We need to use them, and also at the same time, let's let's constructively accept all of these constructive criticisms and make the best para mo not at the expense of imanatapti. No, let's leave this world a better place for those behind us. No, si Dusmasi. We've got 2 more speakers. By the way, again, the link has been shared. And there are other topics on the chat. Please engage ourselves on the topic. And don't forget the evaluation. The link to the evaluation is there. No? Go preciso sa our sponsors, our grantors. We need these evaluations. We want to make sure we cover all grounds. We want to be accountable and we want to be responsible. No? In good faith and with due diligence. No? Timang parenthesis, really, we have to really be ethically ethical with how we spend the money and how we invest the money. No, our next speaker, of course, hails from the office of the governor, constitutionally created office, the resident executive for Indigenous Affairs, si Senor Roman Mindiola Tudela Jr. Senor.
The guaha no correct content area no guaha zonya no website po isisileches lo ke guazonya website ni bula siya left blue na singay iman maestro matsuli za manasebi para zonya BBU online para loki o manasebi famagun para manaitay jan no mas pues no in a Filipino niya insatsagi nina siya mami zani man maestro pabin aligon penyo pabin nagwaha mas material para man maestro. Gi 1921 zan loki 19 si Ms. Jackie guahan na sa Salapi ziling circle striving readers in the Salapi. That's a grant writing grant funds. Hanapan halam loki si Silechas todi man maestro za izgi na in Patinas no man Patinas samsian no lessons no afazi lesson activities kulang almost kulang curriculum loki lo digital no digital materials para mañana za man maestro za magun pos available loki zi para todos que mañana za maestro man asisip bizi anegwahan no pandemic za kada man eskwela ti man eskwela no pues está no buha location for afazi material na in Segui za lo sisiga mona ben aligo empeño ben pamamatinas mas material para iprograma. Otro mes agupa no agupa agwini agupanya gweno ge iringa abrid na mes no buha loki PSS CCLHS ni Cultural Heritage and Indigenous Month na eskwela is school level na klase no aktibidad ni man maestro para planuzi i aktibidad de cada no afazi no semana de forma agam siya halom no isota local practitioners i mañana nezi guahasya no afazi man guahasinga man matsogi pat presenta para huzong para pamagon siya pues no teski komunidad man maagan halom gi afazi imes i abrid para open sauna jan loki todo indigenous no agencies within gini Marianas. Sembuni twestigi sa may umbiay mangwento sam sa indigenous affairs zalik ni komite siya niling mami 20 tanabira zi i abrid para guatu gi October or September ni nasilelebra i Cultural Heritage Month para entire no para todo Islas Marianas linya ahi mga Mr. Barcinas malingit ta kontinua gi abrid loki sa tanagwaha sa tenis ki zangen un mesa da sogi iling wahito zani kutorata siya na mataya pues taki ordo talo sakan pues molik na tanagwagwa didi zagwa ilikino niya continuity para ifamagun may para upan zinahu hulu zo ma asuzi na zan lokyo matituzi ilingwahi zani kultura gwaha uhungon ka si former senators zani I guess executive para public land pwede ziling sa Salapi no lohungan si Kilili isota Washington rep no manmangyam grants and si Ms. Jackie, Senora Jackie, zaman manayan tresbit siento na afazi na Salapi pabinasadbi para ipandan no professional training para man maestro. Utungwa nagwahaloki no manayan gini snayo isay pa na Northern Islands no legislative delegation mamanayan loki no 5 mit pabin pati zani social studies na content pabin pamamatinas dan develop no afazi history books that is place-based, evidence-based within our community. Giza Marianas, purwa banda Marianas, Zaulidia nagaya ganaw si Senyor Nubini Orsini, program manager para social studies. Pues sabi na dos bago gumiluluwet sige pabinaligo empeño este mano na pabin na punahazan este na leblo. Lord Tenski no ina pun matsotso loki man maestro siya gini gumiluluwet no siya singan hanay sinyal este mano na partana zani direksyon este na textbook. I guess no estia no pabisangan bago jangin waha customizo natungozo za listuzo pabi afazi pabi opiam zotate lo bulan satsagi curriculum writers bago man afazi man matitinas no progressive curriculum you know kinder stay 12 manaazudam nezi pabinaligan penyo na hafag katiza primer segundo tres grado o todo este 12 grado Hafa debi po kan mafanagi gibanda ni lingua in Chamorro and Carolinian. Zamunga na kos para maestro para mafanagi no un leksyon para todo grado no. Kuran no taza no teleskiti tigo afasi no manmanungay famagun no talo. Por favor, undang ko na si Jesus Masi para todo man maestro i-CCLHS program ni matsatsagi sa Loki immersion. Sabi na tunguan na esta in-implementa immersion gi todo elementario gini sa Marianas lo intutuhon gi kaptiza. Ocho sakan riski umalam primer, segundo todo sigue hulo zolara guahan no lipinonia cohort no ne para i kaptiza este 5 grado. Za ulara amon ulala estige lo salapi talo ta necesita gini para tafaman hire personnel no para Laulara mo ni Commissioner of Education no guaha hinaso sa ni leadership loki ni para semana ni patana adilanto ezo man maestro ni papanhalam gini gi immersion. Si Jesus Masi ulumay.
Malata na kapakit sinuta as Jonas Parsinas o no anok na afazita look katitataji no hafasta ilatsa na chitsu language na ilingwahe na programa gi PSS no usen haswalo kitapti distrexes itun nanamit taima nyo siling marshano silu defunta lumi anay silumi no staba gi public library za sumena maguf sa EPSS binabiya na tempo sa ni man maestra man mamatinas ni siya afaji mafahlanan flip charts no but no ipaktin itataw ipaktin itrongkon nidzok no alfabeto todo siya katkwen na uza gof no aftalok no preciso na fengkas resources ni tanawahad sige zoktan children's library esta pago gagaya guiza no si Mr. Barsinas building upon all of those zani man antaw zan man menhalum na no maintain programa Chamorro sa Carolinian public school system zan si susti tansulamito zan lokwi si Uncle Henry defunto no Iglesias Sablan puros di siya man faji no faji gi menhalum zan manantaw na tiningo so man si David Omar siya todo Joe Limes todo no siya man fafaji no fafaji niya pues faji is now doesn't mean no pibetsu para it's ginina na context it's their God-given talents and abilities. Si Jesus Masi malata na pagpaki si Jonas dan lokwi si Auntie Francis Silon dan PSS no public school system dan unananga si Mr. Barsinas po sa nga halug sa mizu fanalalo manyay na man people lang gigima na may latafan apipit hamzu tutuhon gigima hami ben sohlo giskwela za hamzu sohlo tati gigima no lo mampus nice lo gobi sa nga manyay na chogi che chumizo pangkay mamalaw masahalom makahujong okay how ferry meta de ferry merela Yes, obligasyon. Tubal license. Sa pala nonsense. Okay? Basta na sa ibabariyas at filimatsis ko ini. Sa ferry method, di putsi, yes, obligasyon. Ren yung mata. Okay? Basta sti nonsense. Lamad sinanigan. Right on. Anyways, basta na pagpakin man yan nagigima. Di ba man yan nagigima? And Sixto, you raised your hand. Yes, sir, my brother. Bubi. Yes, sir.
Thanks, John, and panelists. I'm very happy to hear it. But may I just give a again, it will be like funny, making fun of it, but I'm not gonna make fun of it. But I want to share it so that we can maybe understand sa phenomenon na basta mamababa so get to me. So, I just wanted to share a point of view. For example, Agahu, my daughter, she can sing Sala Micro. And I really listened to her clearly. She's getting better and better because she's able to pronounce the accents. And so I tried to listen into that if she's able to do that and sing, Mapentan Kairuti from Chamorro, when she's singing them, I'm noticing that she wouldn't be too tongue twisted when she grows up learning Carolinian or Chamorro. should be a lot better. But what I wanted to say also is communication at home, John, can be very hard because, and I want to read this story that I wanted to share, but I'll just read it. This is mine. A long time ago, when I was in early elementary, I did personally experience an abuse by PSS teachers, threatening me to speak English and to stop speaking Carolinian on campus grounds. Otherwise, I will be hung. A rope was shown to me, while another child in the office with hands tied behind their back because they spoke Carolinian too. The point here is no one was at home to teach me English. We spoke only Carolinian at home. So my generation, I was born in '68, were all forced to speak English. Today, we are trying to pull the handbrakes. Most parents, my generation, can still speak fluent Chamorro and or Carolinian. But nowadays, we have many parents way younger than our generation who do not speak the local language anymore. Or maybe they understand the language, but not able to speak. Plus, most of the grandparents, grand and great or great-grand, are gone and not able to help us. And so I like to say that the curriculum, the schools, if I may put it bluntly, does owe us a payback. We will do our best to teach our children at home, but I really like the organizations and the school to find a way to really stress that Carolinian and Chamorro language be taught and be funded strongly because they owe us that back. They stole that from us. I mean, not them, not the people, but the fact that we were forced to lose our language and speak the English. Now this English must fund us to pay us back. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Por ejemplo, in high school, nagwaha para kezo hodin na tota foreign gisanizum, nagwaha mandatory na todo tota ni manuscript kalagi Marianas Elementary. I don't care where you come from. No, they don't pass the language, the grammar, than the speaking or conversation. It must be. Sa ulo para, binakadada pa ako, anigagizo high school, irason na todo koreano man manunulit top 1, top 2 na grades, sa baha dictionary niha man sa sedbi, to research dealing that if a language has a dictionary and is written, which thankfully we have now, a child can have something to hold on to and learn. So I hope, I'm not going against teaching at home. I'm saying, yes, we're going to do our best, but we really need also the institutions to pay us that back. This is must.
So to Magrem again, I look back and remember the golden days when I grew up with Sixto down at Lalifao, and all the rest. I see my other classmates, Sister Gloria Rushang, and people of my age. We were born 19, so it's been awesome, productive years. I look to the resources, Jonas, that you've shared. Dispensa sa nukulan tigof no. I totally I'm offline, except for communicating with my sons abroad. No, so I don't even read the papers. I don't even read nothing. I don't even listen to the radios. I rather go out and garden and work out and sweat because why? But thank you for sharing those resources. And ano manyaluza manyanahu na matsutsuda tengkas resources are out there. We need to use them. And also at the same time, let's let's constructively accept all of these constructive criticisms and make the best para mo nasa, not at the expense of imanatati. No, let's leave this world a better place for those behind us. No, Sizus Masi. We've got 2 more speakers. By the way, again, the link has been shared, and there are other topics on the chat. Please engage ourselves on the topic. The link to the evaluation is there. No, our sponsors, our grantors. We need these evaluations. We want to make sure we cover all grounds. We want to be accountable and we want to be responsible. No, in good faith and with due diligence. No, we have to really be ethically ethical with how we spend the money and how we invest the money. No, Our next speaker, of course, hails from the Office of the Governor, constitutionally created office, the resident executive for Indigenous Affairs, si Senyor as Roman Mindiola Tudela Jr. Senyor.
Ni magpatispapaw no gini na summit director of the CCRPC no si Tusmasin no nagwahan is na dinanya para tafan kumbetsa no jan para tanaupan lo ki importante niya este lengguahita ja importante na fuera ni tapatika lo ta susteni ja tana siguro na manotati na generasyon mahupkas ti na tiningo no man maingkotgay na generasyon nesti na responsibilidad iparata paksa esti na tiningo ja kalanista ano na mamaktus adun didi esti na pinasa pues no ta ligagad sa empenyo hafa na isinya tatotsi ji mamaktus ja kusaki no pwede amon no continuous ti lingwahita mo na no gaidi si Dr. Chang Doc si Jusmasi no dangkulo contribution mo gi kinalam tinisti mafatinos niya diksyonaryo utungan natin mo na dyan lo bula lo kina manautaw ta manahalom man matsutsusan hago na peron na posiblisti ki mamayla na tempo no jagayga Indigenous Affairs para usapot ta no na kinalamtin at na yan man manggagam zugi legislatura insapot ta idzo na ginago zaman manayam zo $120,000 para este na finatsotso safa masogda na importante na ugwahan este na finatinas no tibe pasalista papa todo do injechegwi Indigenous Affairs lo no bula asunto siya injechegwi fera ni lengguahe kultura jan historian Marianas no ano malum esti coronavirus chenno no kalan na dispasyo mas dididi kinalam teta mo na lo sinimbargo in bira no matan momi sa in fana importante niya lo ki imanyay nata no ilati sites ja in nasiguro na no accessible siya na lugar bulala taw-taw ta gini sa ipan ti tumungo na wala di sites ja napiniti para ti pumatungo ne mutsuma sa di manyasaga kagman gay kya kita tinggo mania ja napiniti ti paro matungo ja estigi na intututuhon muna upan esti na informasyon na guaha lati sites no tres guaha dos giza kakmang uno giza lolo gisangkatan lolo bichi maagan unay bapot no guaha lo kui quarry saipan puda trabiatin tinagagasgas pero accessible jung gi publiko lo like I said piniti na iti pero matungusin ni taw-tawtan bula lalaki saipan polo i-accessible kumi ileleko na guahas ta tres in na gasgas esta kloro sinyon liin na latis ti siya no okay bebiro tati talo gilengwahe sa go no fair importante niya sti lengwahe gisa go no kanto jo usok da na importante lengwahe ja pakte no gi finanawi gi sigun gi finanawi lengguahe Chamorro gi musiko na banda ja unang na lokki dangkulo na agradecimiento imandandero ganong ujung ne si Jusmasin ni naalun nizong na finatinas medyo siya na sunido ni para finanawi ni lengguahe no Estou patse diccionário, guaha loki no programa sem kiketsegwi no nakekegwa loki de conversational phrases gijag guma. Inahasu para ben nagwasha stickers pa ben patsigi no pero patsigi petta gi bentana la masa galo whatever no lo iahasu na para tinimos din na para un continua fumanogi galong guma jagi kada simona tupa uno Pasiga está aqui humolo me está na tininho de ilo ni famaguon. No, pues enigi no ideo na ja inkeke no na posible no megay beses loki naman masotsam dyan ni Lady Diane Torres Foundation ni sisigi mo na no isti manhobin na mantitigi no lebro ja no gaygem gi firnya para ben adjudage siya na famagun no lokwi humanity sultungan na fiat lokwi no para ikinalam tinesti ilengguahi jan kultura ja megay lokki si Leo director no sisibbi mo na siya fuera ni individual o organisasyon siya ni sumutsun ni kisti siya na klasen Filippinas. IPS si Joko partner si Jonas at man tempo na seswa mumunta sa megay no planon mommy sa malagwang lokig indigenous affairs man mamatinas no learning material in English ne lo usangan ni si Jonas na gi para ipabenche gi malago zulokin na un gaigi jomu input ko saki sinya eskwela loki maadoptas ti na Filippinas ja parafa na benfatinas dati paroset big eskwela kumikeleko no pues importante na jangin no meenta lui PSS umaadapta sa sinya man sa eskwela no pues enigi no UOG loki si just masin no Lola no you guys have been I mean one of my son was a student of UOG and took Chamorro class thank you he calls me daily questions me why is this word different from what we use here in the Northern Marianas. But I said, it's you're taking that curriculum, just follow it. What we use here, what is used there. Let's respect each other. It's our Chamorro language, and let's not compete. This is just one language, and each one of us are moving forward with our plans. Esta mamaylalok no 8 meses y PSS talo ni observe y mes y kultura siyempre man participawang esta kontuno inagan na eskwela sa ni pabenfan fengay gi man mamanogilok no bula plano lo mala jabe nayam judi dia storya ko disti sa no adman na u guadug no kusti gi intrigoha jo ke soda hafa mo nisti che no i minactus esti lingwahita ne jago tampoco ni sigo considera na si Jonas lengya tatutuhon ni gigima lekunggan ni Jonas lo jangin hobby nisti na manyay na jati man fifino Chamorro tay mano ne matutuhong gigima no pisusodda na nigi uno na tsunod young parents don't speak the language pues ko Hodzi para target ko, target isti young parent ko sa kisinya mafanonog ifamaguon or patafanoga directly ifamaguon. Lo esta bula la pa no young parents jan famaguon jatisinya no man mafanoga Chamorro jan giti matuno no? Pues kita ni tumumo ta atitude ta no fanogi lo ki ifamagonta ni system tsaka mensahnya no? Ta soju za ta fanogi lo ki ni zo ta soju zo fanogi lo ki famagunia no? Masyado mididi lo na bokusinya no tana siguro na tasigi tumuktis ti esta mamaktus ta talitan talin minaktus paresti mapasa ni linggahita. And now, no, damplo na si Diyos mo sinin na ito, gusto na ko ito nila, grabe, lakmusa, lokis na sinindek ko, dyan, hafa ofisinan iasuntum natibo, no, masa tutsunig talo muna, no, para ako no, Francis, no, jausan ni lakmusa dito mo slide ni, ani, liizi, mango nila ko, ay, o tatay Chamorro dyan ko mango, lo beso jo lo kita sinyang na distipaw ko maramona lugmango no ay lo si just mo si ni oportunidad thank you todo ni manggay online ni man sa sono lo ki ni na pakti si just mo si
Malata na pagpaki lahin Marianas si Roman Tudela Jr. ni kumapisasa di questo che crinianza finyanyago ni zottasi na my constitution laws is equal for ma attitudini umilaw kumagat no pumulan zan umadahi I asuntun ikako palabrastas di indigenyo the indigenous I manyaw tao no si Roman Tudela Jesus Mase no namagof todos siya tahuhungok sa titagoftungo gua por ejemplo ni timampuso ang tao no pabi bimbilikero online na sa no I'm choking my distractions. I want to fuel my passion and just positive living and stuff. So anything else is really I don't need additional distraction. But thank you so much. It's refreshing to know there's so much resources, initiatives by these offices, organizations on the ground and from abroad. And so it's quite enlightening and really hopeful. No, Executive Director Melvin Faisal.
Before we go into the next schedule, may I just be given a 1 minute opportunity? Yes. Okay. I would like to take this opportunity to announce to everyone that the Cnmi Flame Trip will commence on April 29 to May 1st, 2022. And we'll be putting out more information, the time when this will commence. Also, the Northern Marianas 2022 Pacific Mini Game, first to be hosted by the Cnmi, will commence from June 17, 2022 to June 25, 2022. In addition also, I noticed that the Secretary for Public Land and the Executive Assistant for Carolinian Affairs are very much willing to collaborate with CCOPC, IAO, and PSS CCOH for a language summit on upcoming August. And date and time will be set in coming months. And I humbly beg the Secretary of Public Land, knowing that you manage the Cnmi public land and all proceeds from lease before you give to MPLT, think of this summit.
As an admin expense.
Yes, as an admin expense in preserving the language, most especially for us, the Northern Marianas citizen. Thank you.
And to address some of the parental bother issues that all of us are putting it out on the table. No? Right on.
Thank you, Secretary.
Quickly on that, I spoke to Mel the other day that when I got on board in here, I made sure that part of the public benefits by these companies leasing public lands, I made sure that Carolina Affairs Office, CAO, and Arts and Culture are in there, and that is shown with my negotiation with Hyatt before we signed it. I made sure that $300,000 was donated to these three entities. And then I informed Melvin that I totally apologized. I forgot about the Language Commission. So therefore, moving forward in any lease, the Language Commission will be added as the fourth item of recommendations to the real estate. Thank you, Mel, for that reminder again.
Okay. All of these are, what do you call this? No, taimaktus, no? Asangan si Roman imaktus, Itali maktus, i cadena. Malazatana, setutatiza, utaimaktus, that's the initiatives will go a long way in systemically preserving and protecting and sustaining, no, making it self-sustaining, sustainable. And I think it's high time that we truly invest isalapeta ifencosta. Let's not continue to knock on the doors of endowments and the U.S. federal government when we too should show due diligence and good faith that we need to have that onus and that ownership. And so we must invest our monies where our mouth is, literally. So language. Jesus must say. Very hopeful, very enlightening. Last but not least, may we now ask our partner, our integral partner, stakeholder, Manyelusan Manyenago, Malazatafono Iloki Zatanoi, Niginefka Kutasonta, Gunaizata, Azan Inazuosta, Lahin Marianas, no Gomehilului, the Northern Marianas Humanities Council, the executive director or administrator, Silio Pangilinan, who by the way is not only a physical Poksai, no, Tutulus Monegalaidi, but also no Dadandan, no, Zanlokwe, no Fataluk, Maestro, educator, and now no cultural practitioner. So thank you, Humanities Council. Kita welcome Silio Pangilinan, Dani from Humanities Council.
Pues, amaga umogan, me lesor mamoy, everyone. Eno itinya, bi usay lingwahita pogo, sa malagudu binasiguro, banatunas, banakloro, afa malago bisangan put is the program and Humanities Council. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Melvin Faisal and Patricia Capileo and the Language Policy Commission staff and volunteers for getting us together in this forum. This is really important, and we're at the tail end of this, and it's clear to me that it's meaningful, and I have great hope that it will lead to great things and more conversations and ideas about how to preserve and protect our languages. I also want to thank everyone here today who have given credit or some recognition to the Humanities Council for our partnership or our funding support for various projects related to promoting our languages and cultures. It's really wonderful to hear that, and I know that our board members will be grateful as well. So all I wanted to do today was really walk you through what the Humanities Council is about and really hone in on our primary goal or our priority as a council, and that is to preserve and protect our indigenous languages here in the Northern Mariana Islands. And I want to share my screen just for a couple of documents I have that I want to highlight. So we're a private non-profit organization. We've been around, organized in the Cnmi for the past 30 years. We're primarily funded through the National Endowment for the Humanities, but we get a lot of local support Many people don't know this. We're an educational tax credit organization. So businesses or individual taxpayers can donate up to $5,000 to our council and receive a credit for that on the taxes they owe to the Cnmi government. We have a 13-member volunteer board. Three of our members are appointed by the governor. The remainder members are elected amongst themselves. We have 4 staff. Most of them are programmatic staff. I'm the executive director, and we also have a fiscal officer and a record specialist. I'm not going to talk too much about the past 30 years and our involvement. I want to just emphasize our successes last year, which starts with us really carving out a new strategic plan for our organization, a new 5-year strategic plan. And to get that done, we did some homework, some groundwork. We met with community members. We conducted focus group discussions on Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda with key stakeholders. And there was a central theme that eventually we folded into our priorities and goals. But I want to emphasize what we gathered there that we summarized in our strategic planning document. We say here, and it's in the middle of the screen here, if you can read this. It says, an overarching theme across all focus groups on all 3 islands, centered on the loss of language, traditions, folklore, and other elements that define the indigenous Chamorro people. A sense of urgency, anxiety, and loss and shame was expressed for the rapid decline in the use of the Chamorro language, awareness of the island's history and traditional cultural practices. So we took that to heart, and we decided to make our priority and our first goal, can't really read this, but that's to preserve and promote the indigenous languages and cultures of the Northern Mariana Islands in support of our mission, which is to examine and navigate the human experiences of both our indigenous groups as well as the diverse peoples that make up our Commonwealth. And we do this through programs, research, dialogue, and one other area. Anyway. Did you say research? That's our focus area. I also put this on the screen because this is our why for making the preservation of our culture and language a priority. We recognize that the Chamorro people were the first inhabitants here. We also recognize that the Carolinians immigrated here, but that we have this common history that Chamorros and Carolinians were subject to centuries of foreign colonial and religious practices and policies that systematically deprived these groups of the right to their own language and heritage. And then we take a quote from the United Nations: the indigenous people's languages derive and are also crucial to identity, culture, health, governance, social, economic well-being, spiritual traditions, histories, and philosophies. And for the indigenous people of our islands, the legacy of past colonial practices and the enduring influence of Western culture ever present in our homeland remain as imminent threats to the survival of our languages and cultures. So that's really our why, our thrust to marshal our resources toward protecting and preserving our languages and cultures. And we do this in various ways. We have council-conducted projects. We're also a grant-making institution. So many of our partners here today that mentioned our support, that support came in the form of a grant to their organization or to individuals. We also give grants to individuals. I also want to, so at this time, I want to share something else just to give you a brief look into what we've done this past year to work on that goal of ours. Every year we produce an annual report This might be kind of too big here. But for preserving and promoting our cultures and languages, Ms. Frances Sablon, she mentioned our cultural icons of the Cnmi series. She threw up on the screen Senor Donald Mendiola's poster, her poster, the Rafalawash Warriors, Lino Olopai. We also showcased the various Chamorro dance groups that are organized in our community and our schools. And the last poster that we distributed to the public school system, as well as through our social media sites, was the Seafaring Traditions Program, which is organized under the Arts Council and the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs. So really the purpose of this was to supplement the resource materials available to our Chamorro Carolinian language instructors in the public school system, but because of social media and the internet, we were able to share it with everyone. We also were successful in receiving a separate grant from the National Park Service. We want to expand the boundaries of the current Tinian National Historic Landmark, which includes Northfield and all those historic sites related to World War II. But there's also ancient sites within those boundaries that we want to interpret and create some kind of educational resource for our community to enjoy. And with those signs, we intend to, alongside English, make sure that Chamorro and the Carolinian language is also on the sign itself, as well as a website we hope to develop to broaden the reach of these historic sites on Tinian. We hosted a series of chat and Chiesa events, and these are really social gatherings that we've created around food. And we focused our target group on the Chamorro Carolinian language and heritage studies instructors from the public school system. We sort of created this space where we could use them as a focus group to be able to determine what their needs are, what their interests are, what the challenges are in teaching the language and culture to our students. As a result of this, Jonas Barcinas and I, as partners, we're talking about shaping training activities for the teachers. We're also, we launched this Rope of Tradition program. What that is we give teachers an opportunity to let us know what cultural practitioner or language expert they would like to bring into their classrooms as guests to supplement their instruction, and we pay that cultural practitioner or guest a stipend, a small stipend to be there, whether it be an hour for one class or 3 or more hours for multiple classes. And that's something we'll be continuing throughout this academic year and also next year. We have our Sengabao poetry competition. We do this annually. Once in a while, we get contestants who use Chamorro or Carolinian in their poetry. It's not a requirement. The only requirement for the senior division or the high school students is that they somehow address culture, however they define culture. And quite often we have our young people talk about their ethnic identity and culture through their poetry. And then in general, we try to find groups that are involved with music. And that's something we're very interested in examining and sharing. And so we've been able to share some activities that have been happening in our community. We've supported through a grant, Tabdung Marianas last year. They did a documentary of some of our local musicians, as well as musicians on Guam, centered mainly on Chamorro music. So they produced a documentary that's available on YouTube to look at. But we also used our digital archive to dig up old photos of Rhoda students singing Isla Luta in Chamorro way back during the days when the Peace Corps volunteers were heavily involved in educating the youth on Rhoda. And then we celebrated our 30th anniversary celebration last year with an event at the World Resort, and we were very fortunate to
have Mr. Manny Borja and Miss Carmen Taimanyo join us and exhibit and demonstrate Kantan Samurita, and as well as our pool and master navigators from Satawal and Pulawat. They joined us in traditional regalia and also exhibited traditional chant for our audience members. And then every year we have the Governor's Humanities Awards. And one thing that really hones in on this goal of our promoting our language and culture is the category of award winner who we recognize for preserving our traditional cultural practices. And this last year we recognized Master Navigator Tony Pieluk, Mao Pieluk's son, for perpetuating traditional seafaring practices, not just in our community, but in the community on Guam as well. And then the museum in Spain, many people don't know this, but the National Museum of Anthropology in Madrid, Spain, they had a huge exhibit called Viva Chamorro Culture and Identity exhibit. It was there on their main floor of their museum, as well as the second level, and there were different rooms you could go in to explore different dimensions of the Chamorro culture. We were invited to contribute to that. We gave them a documentary video of the revitalization of our traditional sailing practices, mainly spearheaded by the master navigators in our community and 500 sails, as well as give them a perspective of contemporary Chamorro identity and culture here. So that was part of the exhibit. Every 2 years, we host the Marianas History Conference. This is a partnership we have with the University of Guam, Humanities Guahan, Guam Preservation Trust, and Guampedia.com, among other partners. And this is something that we will be hosting next year in 2023. We usually trade hosting sites every 2 years, so it's our turn to host as the Cnmi. So you'll be hearing more of that. But for the first time ever, we had a focused panel discussion on the language. And this was led primarily by the Commission on Chamorro Language on Guam. So we're hoping in 2023, just as we're talking about the language here in this forum, we can use this conference to also expand these conversations and issues about the Chamorro as well as the Carolinian language. And then many of you here or know about our Your Humanities half-hour radio show. This is conducted every Sunday at 11:30 on Power 99. I work closely with the host, Catherine Perry, to reach out to individuals in our communities who can talk about not just our indigenous culture and language and what the status of it is or what does it look like today, but also trying to reach out to the diverse communities that are represented here in the Cnmi to be able to showcase different elements of the humanities. So that's what we did last year. Just briefly, I want to now touch on some active projects, things that are coming up. You heard earlier from Roberto Santos. We routinely help promote Pride Month, which is scheduled in June, through the lens of the humanities. So as he mentioned, he's the LGBT community, which is being led by Pride Marianas and Pride Youth Marianas. They are very interested in the language, the Chamorro and Carolinian words or phrases, and the translations of English phrases that's in use today, so that they can start taking ownership and being empowered in using our indigenous languages within their communities. We also have the Mother Read, Father Read program. We're actively trying to translate some of the national books that we use as part of the curriculum. This is a family literacy program where we have a course for parents so that they can learn how to effectively read and tell stories to their children to promote that literacy at home. We're trying to get the books that the instructors use, as well as recruit more instructors who speak Chamorro and Carolinian, and have books and resources to be able to use with the parents in those languages. We also we're halfway through a children's show. We were creating a pilot episode called Island Time. Ms. Francis Sablon briefly touched on this. It's a children's show. It involves puppets. We had a whole video crew from Guam come to Saipan. We set up a whole a film set out at the Cagman Community Center Theater. So we occupied that for about a month this past in March, early March. And so we're now in the editing phases. Part of the purpose of this show is to really engage our youth in the Chamorro language. It's not an immersive type of show. It touches on the culture and language in fun, interesting ways that we feel that the youth can connect to and start to gain more interest in learning more. So it's not in, the scripts are not full on in Chamorro. It's a blend of Chamorro and English. What we want to do moving forward is create an immersion program for adults. And we just had a conversation with Senor Mendiola just earlier this week, getting more ideas for how we can do this. We have this immersion program for youth that's growing and building in our public school system. I believe it's from K through to second grade now. We want to shift and focus on the parents, if at all possible, younger parents who don't have a good command of the Chamorro language. Maybe they can speak somewhat conversationally, but they're not comfortable, or they weren't raised in an environment where they can think in Chamorro and easily speak it. So we're hoping to roll out this project. We're calling it Tafanfinu Chamorro. We're still reaching out to you all, our partners who are language experts, to help guide us in terms of the parameters of this project. We have this close relationship with the PSS CCLHS program, and one of our aspirations this year or next year is to document the Chamorro Carolinian language competition that they typically have annually. It's such a special event, and we feel that our broader community should be exposed to those young, talented students who are trying their very best to showcase and exhibit their Chamorro and Carolinian language skills. So we'll be working closely with Jonas Barcinas and his staff. So when they are ready to relaunch that competition, that we'll be right there with them, providing support for how to document that and promote it to our larger community. As well, with our Indigenous Affairs partners, we've written into our strategic plan that we stand ready to support the Indigenous exposition when they're ready to relaunch that for our community. We feel that's so important to continue that, to get more of our practitioners out in the public sphere and expose them to the public at large. And as Dr. Chung mentioned earlier, just using and practicing the language and demonstrating our culture is what will get us toward, revitalizing our language. And then I just briefly, again, I just want to, so those are our council projects that our staff and our volunteers work on to produce for our community. With our grant making function, there are a number of grantees that we have that I want to recognize just briefly here today. The Lady Diane Foundation, they submitted a grant to help support their book project, their young authors book publishing project. Earlier we heard from Lola Leon Guerrero from UOG Press, who also partnered with them to have that read aloud recorded of the Carrera en Sirena book that they put out. Well, we gave them a grant to create a Chamorro book and a Carolinian book. So their project is not done. The next production you should see is a Carolinian book produced by the Lady Diane Foundation and written by one of our young authors. The 500 Sales Organization has 2 grants with us that are active. One is to document the canoe building activity for the proa, the traditional Chamorro proa canoes that they make with modern materials and some of modern methods for building those canoes. They want to document it, each stage of the production on video and share it publicly so that anyone can learn how to do it themselves in their garage or in their backyard. They also have a grant to get our master navigators, Tony Pielo, Mario Benito, and Cecilio Raukilipi, to get them to teach our young sailors who are using the Chamorro proas, teach them how to circumnavigate Saipan. That hasn't been done yet in those canoes. So we gave them a grant to prepare to do that by training the students beforehand, but to also support the cost of sailing around, which includes an overnight on Unay Baput, which Roman Tudela had mentioned, is out in the Laulau area, which they're helping to steward and safeguard the Lati site out there. We're also supporting a project called Perpetuating Rafalawash Beating Custom. The project director is Sinta Kaipat, and what she has been actively doing is mentoring fashion designers, people that have this experience in styling clothes or accessories. She's teaching them how to use their own style or their own ethnic persuasion to create ligatutur and amosh, using different their own cultural elements, to infuse those cultural elements. Part of her project too is to exhibit and display whatever they produce in this traveling exhibit that'll go to schools and some key areas in our community. We're also supporting a project called Exploring Latte in the Marianas, Alamagan. This is a spin-off of what Leila Staffler had done 2 years ago, where she brought a group up to Pagan and did a video documentary of the Lati sites there, as well as the unique geographic objects that are present in Pagan. Well, she's doing some.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think the Zoom is paranyalang lokidididza to try to ask our speakers, si Leo, to Leo, maybe you can just wrap it up quickly if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for thank you for intervening. Are we all back, or was I the only one who slipped out? Okay, so that's Adibina. We also have a project out called Legends of Rhoda, which will put animation to 3 legends, Chamorro legends that are out of Rhoda. And that will be shared in video format when that project gets done. Our grant to Inetnud Amut Zan Kutura Natibu, Ms. Frances Ablan mentioned that they have a talk show. They partnered with Marianas Mosaic to get cultural practitioners and other cultural experts in to talk about the culture and language. And then finally, support for this project, which we're very happy to do. So that's the Humanities Council's efforts to promote our language and culture this past year, as well as moving forward. And we just look forward to your input and feedback as we work on those projects along the way, as well as incorporating any of your ideas for how we can enhance those projects. Jesus Marcy, John.
Leo, sinsidzo na agradecimento para Hamza Gwenogi Humanities Council. One of our silver linings really is the presence of our Humanities Council ever since. Nuna maguf sa ititsu mimidzu agradecizun dan lalalaha para muna. And I have to say no todos it in manazuzudagi katkwet manera. In whatever aspect, whatever element, truly that small aspect, it really matters. So thank you, everybody. I think we're approaching the last part of our conference, Zoom conference. On behalf of the Language Policy Commission, our stakeholders, our partners here, and those who are listening virtually, Sizus Masi para Hamzo, Bilisoto Mahmeremi. And again, as mentioned by the director, Melvin Faisal, they are contemplating ta iluluzi ta hasazadzayhun na para utanagwaha talumas initnun here on the ground on August 12th. It'll be a weekend, so a reason for you to all fly over yinin Guahan Lutatinian Magisa Ipan. We'll meet face to face and do a Fizimaluk Indigenous Mother Tongue Summit here Giza sa Ipan, August 12th. So mark your calendars, and please reminder the evaluation. It's on the chat, and or you should already have received it on your email. Please be participatory. Be participatory in filling in link evaluation. And last but not least, we go on Kudano. Mindiolas, you're still on? Are you going to still do the closing on Kudano? Calling on Kudano. Okay, ang Kudano, kolo za si Auntie Francis o Tsokloho, pago za utsum i-programa pago na ugan. Auntie Francis.
Okay. Paisin zo si Senyor para be sangan i-closing remarks za sigam na dos numumu hazi poro utso gwiza mangana. So ezu nagwaho nu para be sangan hafa be presenta i mensahinya za timalago managbansa. Okay. Esse na ponto manago si Senyor Dono Menyola por o emphasis para ta continua fumeno Chamorro, fumeno refaluas, fumeno hafa na linguahe na nota. Za guawa este momentazi sauniha sa ano izu ni piso lo tatsowi 24 horas cada dia de semana, cada dia de sacan, pues como é que ele ensina todo o tempo de evitar pino Chamorro, pino refaluas, pino linguaje manenata. E outro no aporo emphasis hatalo ipinonia si Jonas na matutuhon i programan immersion Giti unuha pa dos na eskwela sa antes ginin Kakman Elementario, ginin Olia Elementario pago, zahu no information niya si Senyor na kada eskwela gwa immersion program. Pues si ocho no maulik sa no dumada niya Indigenous Affairs Office, Carolinian Affairs Office, then Octusia partners guni gives Islas Marianas no puet NMHC Northern Marianas Humanities Council no then comunidad di generat manyasaw no manhalum di eskwela puro mapresenta cultura no data consigi I otro gunito sa Guaha Cultural Heritage Month ni masalilibra ti igi komunidad ha na kanto di eskwela kada sakan. Zan lokwi I lingwahe zan I kultura. Man mafanonagi eskwela, lo ti I public school systema na unhunguka na mafanonagi lokwi gi private school si Isla Montessori, Mark Carmel, ginanong tempo no mafanonagi ipino Chamorro, in Northern Marianas College, guaha programa niya za bonito sa UOG, no guaha no the niya Chamorro studies, za matutuli pa ni I maestrata za maestrata. Zan lokwi I comunidad, no finonya si Leo no guaha finu Chamorro na program za bonito zan gingwalo ki finu refanawash na program. Na programa cosa ki una medgudesti I linguahita. Lokwi I programa siya zan actividad I comunidad, I Flame Tree Arts Festival, I Taste of the Marianas, I Cultural Heritage Month. No todo siya ma-emphasisa I linguahita, zan I kulturata. Sa I kulturata no ala cuenta 4 na patisi ni Manlongkulu I fincas or artifacts, I hinengeta, I beliefs, I costumbreta, zan lokwi I linguahita. Todos si 4 no ta portretre bueno huzungi siya na actividad. I linguahe zan I cultura ta continua talo fumanago I escuela siya, I colegio, zan I universidad, zan I comunidad. Dawi programanya I NMHC sa Manfino Tumomoro di comunidad, bonito sa kantoro si Dr. Bavakwa, no vidadanya man asoda kada semana man Fino Tumomoro, dati necessario talo na para Fino Tumomoro ipino ilingwahin manyanata. Enoa makpo.
Jesus Mas. Thank you, Jesus Mas and Francis and Codano. No malagwa so talo en cuenta di man danya umilogistine na inidnon. I-primer istigi para imamamayla 10 años, the next decade, for celebrating our International Decade of Indigenous Languages through the United Nations. Sumena magov za ititsota, ititsumidzo, iminasahalomta, iminasahalummidzo ti lastima. Ti tahi
Chamorro. Kasi nagradisi todo I minahalon midzo, I finihon midzo, I sinentin midzo, zanigonizan midzo, por no ilata nota. Malagazo no mention just 5 key points moving forward, no? No estaimano hafamon signalado disita sobi pago. In addition to what our organizations, entities, partners here are doing now, and can we build upon? I will go back to nursery rhymes, no? No necesita ta sulit activity siya so ta edza gikatiza mientras ta gwes ni fenta ji mamay go right, all of these things Chilusi one yeah, so no, so we need to go back to those, record it, podcast it, make it vlogs, video logs, so we can share it with the kids while mom is shopping or mom is cooking or whatnot, no? Say famagunu fanikungo. Polo alam gi 100 by 100 feet square screen karaw do fanegay famagun, no? Or true artists, we need. I'm not an artist, but I'm just so fascinated about artists. We need to bring the arts and crafts back to the classrooms. I'm going to have, by the way, I'm the overall PAC president, PTA presidents. That's one of the first issues besani si Fredo, si Dr. Alfred Das, commissioner. We need to bring back all of these out of the classroom, out of the modern buildings, hands-on stuff, how we learned and how we're so happy to this day because of that kind of learning modicum. Bring it outdoors. Writers, authors, mantitigi, manzizinga. I love that. The guild, the theater, and whatnot. Another one is brief programs on smartphones. Everybody has smartphones. Si Tan Maria, si Tonakim, si Sebastian, the new baby just born, they're having smartphones. Let us leverage, marshal our resources, and have those programs gi telephone. Ulo Imalios, Misa, you still have that smartphone in your hand. And the last one, signages in offices. signages in the restrooms, out in the community, government offices, businesses. We have to have those signs, no, in our mother tongue. It's very critical. And not just wear it on Friday, wear karoy magaguta all week, no, and celebrate it. No, let's go back to basics. And no. So let's time at those solutions, Mr. Roman Tudela, to young parents who don't know how to speak Chamorro and Carolinian. We need to get back to basics. So thank you so much. We have so much work ahead. We're not going to work. We're going to have fun. We're playing ahead. So Lola, Tumben, Benny, no, Uzo, Angie, no, natafan didi no kadun patas benozan agahaf. Dr. Chung, sugu magi sa ipan estat necessario bendas patsud and pasu. Ano magi, zatafan picnic, zatafan wentus and hafasha. Leo, Sizus Masi, and to read everybody, Gloria, Ilisoto Miremi Gordon from CCBI and the Canoe Federation, everybody. Winaiza, kining corazon para hamzo sisus ni pambinindisi adaham zumona gi kareran mizo sa linala ni parena soko sinya 20 mismo izon mizo tutungi gima tutuzi gi eskwela tatsahlo tatigi gima. Adios, kung Winaiza, stay safe.
Adios, thank you.
Everyone.